We'll do it live! Fuck it! Do it live!
Welcome to the Mouthpiece, episode 55, year 2. Today, we're going to talk about my Dodgers winning the World Championship after 32 years. We got special guest, Real Kid Poker Daniel Negreanu, on the show to talk about his upcoming challenge with Doug Pope. We got my pick of the week. We might even talk politics. Oh, God, that could get ugly. The Mouthpiece is next. What up? What up? Welcome to the Mouthpiece, episode 55. It's Friday. Election day is 4 days away. And if you listen to the polls, it doesn't look good for Mr. Trump. But they said that last time, so anything's possible. There's a lot of reasons why I have doubt that Trump's going to win. I know a lot of Trump supporters are listening to me and they don't want to hear that. But just go out and vote and see what happens. I'm not Nostradamus. I felt in 2016 he was a lock to win. I'm not going to lie to you. My instincts don't tell me that. There's many reasons for that. But whatever, it is what it is. Let's start out. My Dodgers winning the World Championship. 32 years. 32 years, Dodger hat. We got my Dodger shirt. 32 years of misery. 2017, 2018, 2019. Just so brutal. I had a little bet on them. I laid $1.95. I just felt they were going to win. And I won a sports bet. But that doesn't mean I'm going to be betting anymore, because I'm not going to be, because you cannot win betting on sports. But I like giving out my pick of the week. We won last week with Arizona. We are now 3-4 on our pick of the week. We've literally had the wrong side in 2 of them. I think 2 of our losses we definitely should have won, and the rest we won easy. So we'll discuss that in a little bit. We're going to take phone calls live after me and Daniel talk after about 30, 40 minutes, and then we'll take about a half hour worth of phone calls, and you guys can ask him what you want to ask him. Let's, try and not be divisive on politics. I know the election's coming up Tuesday, and the whole world's divided and going crazy over it. So, one thing I've learned from 4 years ago is have your opinions, but don't just go crazy. It's so funny. I'll probably talk about that with Daniel. It's like I watch so many poker players now that I follow that are going back and forth in politics, and I'm thinking to myself, man, that was me and Daniel 4 years ago. So, it is what it is. Whatever happens, happens. So, let's see what else is going on. So, I've been studying my pick of the week. And we're going to get that out of the way first. But first thing I want to talk about is a free roll that's coming up on mouthpoker.com. So if you want to enter this free roll, it'll be next Friday afternoon at, probably 3 in the afternoon. It's $3,000 free roll to anybody who wants to sign up at mouthpoker@yahoo.com, mouthpoker@yahoo.com, and we're giving away a $3,000 free roll into a tournament. It's a tournament. It'll be our first tournament in our home game that we have. A lot of our players wanted tournaments to be hooked up, so email mouthpoker@yahoo.com. Anybody can play, and it's a $3,000 free roll into our tournament. So that's what I've got going out. I've had some problems with my home game with some little small problems, so we had to reboot it. And we're rebooting this Friday, where you'll be able to play. Well, if you want to play all weekend, you can play all weekend. You can sign up. We play 1-2-2-4 no limit hold'em, 1-2-2-4 no limit hold'em, 1-2-2-4 PLO, 4-8 limit 08 with a kill. Mouthpoker@yahoo.com. Email to be eligible for our free roll, 3K free roll on next Friday. So I wanted to get that out of the way. And now we're going to get this out of the way, our pick of the week, because I think me and Daniel, because when we get talking, we end up talking for a long, long period of time. So it's just the way it is. I'm going to go. I have been going back and forth on my pick of the week. I mean, this is really, really tough. But I think Pittsburgh, even though they played a tough game last week, looks like the better team. Baltimore always wins in Baltimore. They always play a 3-point game. I mean, Lamar Jackson just looks a shell of his MVP self from last year. So I am definitely leaning a little bit on them, and I'm leaning on the Jets plus 19.5, and I'm also leaning on San Francisco plus 3.5. I don't think much of Seattle. I think they're the worst 5-1 team in football. It's back-to-back road games for San Francisco, though, so that's a big problem there. I'm going to go ahead and give my pick of the week, as I am 3-4 through 7 weeks. I'm going to go with San Francisco plus 3.5. It's literally a must-win for them. It pulls them within one game of Seattle for the division. I think they're a better team. I think Seattle's defense is atrocious. They showed that last week against Arizona, and a second-year quarterback, Kyle Murray, just ate him up. I'm going with San Francisco plus 3.5 as my pick of the week. So that's what's going on in my world. The Dodgers are world champions. Fucking Clayton Kershaw's a world champion. I told everybody Kershaw was going to get it done this year. He pitched one masterful game. One game he didn't have his best stuff. Only gave up one run. The guy's a winner. He's the best pitcher of our lifetime. Probably the best pitcher since Sandy Koufax. Definitely one of the top 5 pitchers of all time. Congratulations to my man, Clayton Kershaw, winning the World Series. God, it felt good. I cried for hours like a baby. I'm not going to admit it. I mean, I am going to admit it. It's just been a long time coming. So, are we ready to go? Do we have Daniel on?
I just sent him the code.
Okay, let me make sure. We'll get Daniel on here. And I know me and him, we're going to shoot the shit. So I wanted to get all this stuff out of the way. And listen, the election's coming up. I don't think might be decided on November 3rd. I mean, if Biden wins Florida or Georgia, it's over November 3rd. So, I mean, it all depends what you believe. Do you believe the polls or you don't believe the polls? Either way, I honestly should care, but I don't. Okay. So we're live with Daniel. Are you there, buddy?
Yes, sir. How we gentlemen doing?
We are doing good. How are you, my friend?
Tired. Fucking stressed out. Tired. Working hard.
Let me
Got
tell
me
you.
a little coffee.
Yeah, I mean, when you say stressed out, now you sound like Phil. He called me at 1 a.m, stressing out about high stakes poker today, and how he's putting $200,000 of his own money up, and he's nervous. I'm like, come on, Phil, dude. You stress positivity, and you're gonna fucking whine like a bitch that you're nervous. Shut the fuck up. So
Well, stress doesn't. Obviously, yeah, that's the thing. Stress and being nervous, that's not related to a negative emotion. It's just a real emotion. You know?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
an honest.
that's
You
true.
can be stressed out and still be, feel positive about the work you're doing. But like anytime you push yourself and you work really, really hard, I mean, you should feel some stress. Like think about it. If you're
Yeah.
in the gym and you're not feeling any stress in your muscles, well, you're not working very hard. So
You're
I
like
have
me.
been working hard. So it's only natural that, my mind's going to be under a lot of stress because I've been downloading 4 years worth of information in 4 weeks.
Really? Wow. So tell all the listeners why you believe you're going to beat Doug Polk. Now, we've been talking. I believe what you said, and they got me to bet like half my bankroll on you, buddy. So I got to get you paid off. So I gotta bet on you. You know how it works.
Yeah, I mean, I thought you only put half your bankroll up. You should probably what you should have done
Just put it
is
all.
put the whole bankroll up, see what you can sell or put on eBay, and maybe someone would loan you extra money for the bet because that's a smart thing to do when you're getting 4 to 1 odds, right? No.
Woohoo! Yeah.
Yeah, no. So I don't, let's be real, okay? So I'm a very big underdog. It was opened at 6 to 1. We're down to 4 to 1.
Oh, I thought it opened 2 to 1 and went to 6 to 1 and then missed down to 4 to 1.
I think you underestimate strongly the depths and the amount of time it takes to become world class at this sort of thing. And he has been, in that conversation when he was playing, regularly. And so he's been working longer than I have too, because while I was playing the World Series of Poker, he's been doing this. So I'm a substantial underdog, but I'm going to work hard at closing the gap week to week. And hopefully that, whatever the gap looks like on day one, my hope is that, 5,000 hands in, it's much smaller. And, we make a match of it and we run hot. We have karma on our side.
Yeah, we do have karma on our side. That I agree with you. And karma is a big, big thing in poker and in life. That's for sure. So, I really believe that you're a world-class poker. Well, you are. There's no doubt about it. You're a world-class poker player. Your reading ability is second to none. Doug Polk is all GTO math guy. I mean, those reading abilities and your ability to see things that maybe he doesn't see over a long period of stress, doesn't that favor you in a way where that oversets where he favors you?
So let's talk about that term GTO, because a lot of people misunderstand what the heck that means.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, no human being plays GTO.
Okay.
Nobody does. GTO is a baseline that we can look to and say, okay, is this person bluffing too much or are they bluffing not enough according to GTO?
Right.
So if we know somebody's bluffing more than GTO, the adjustment that you want to make is you want to call more, right? Because they're bluffing more than they should be.
Right.
If they're bluffing less than GTO, well, then you fold more, right? So the true mark of great players is kind of a hybrid between understanding GTO and where people have areas that they're exploitable and then focusing on strategies that can attack that. So for example, Mike, let's say, for example, you're up against your opponent and he's supposed to fold here 50% of the time, okay?
Okay.
But he actually folds 55% of the time.
Okay.
What should you do? What should you do against that?
You should, if he's bluffing less than he should be, is that what you just said?
No, he's bluffing 5%. No, so he's folding.
Okay.
He's folding to your.
So
he
if
should
he's
call you
bluffing more,
50%.
you should call more. If he's bluffing less, you'll call 5% less. Correct?
Well, here's the thing, right? Theoretically, if somebody is folding 5% too often, you will make money and you are plus EV if you go all in every time. 100% of the time, because if they continue to do that, then they'll be making a mistake that you'll be able to profit from in the long run. However, if you start doing that, because we're all human, and now all of a sudden you start going all in every hand, the guy's going to go, wait a minute, I've been folding too much against this guy because he's bluffing more. So now they adjust, right? So now maybe they're calling more than they should be. So if you continue with that strategy of going all in, now he's exploiting you. Right? So it's always one person or the other who's doing the exploiting. It's never GTO versus GTO because it's just difficult for the human brain.
Right.
It's just not ever going to be possible because there's infinite numbers of different bet sizes and game trees and all kinds of like nerdy talk we can get into.
Right.
But no human can play GTO. So it really does come down to one of the things that he was very, very good at when he won playing heads up was finding mistakes in his opponent's games.
Right.
Okay.
Well, that's all the great players do. That's right. What all great players do.
The difference was the way we did it when we play live is like we just do it based on feel and like I think. Correct. With online, it's data. You're like, okay, so you break down the data and you're like, okay, this person's only c-betting 27% of flops. What the hell is that all about? Right? So now you're like, you see a discrepancy and you think, okay, well, this is the tendency this player has. They're folding too many rivers or they're doing this. And you can use data to make these decisions. Whereas like, I guess in our time, you just had to get a feel.
Now I know. Now you just explained to me why I've always struggled online and why I never lose playing live. So now I was hearing you guys argue about pre-flop charts, and I'm like, what in the fuck is a pre-flop chart? You know what I mean? I'm like, I've never used one. You know what I mean? Maybe you could explain to our viewers and what our pre-flop chart is.
Okay, so it's basically like, so if you've ever seen this sort of square diagram that has every possible hand plugged in. So it's like up here, it'll have aces, ace, king, ace, queen, ace, jack, ace 10 suited. And then over here, it'll have ace, king, ace, queen, jack suited. So it's like a table, right?
Okay.
And within that, you can color code, I have a picture of one right here, but I don't know if I can show it to you from this way. And so basically it looks like a graph or whatever. And all it does for you, or the basic pre-flop chart, is to show you, okay, say for example, you're playing heads up and you're playing an only a raise strategy. So which hand should you raise? Which hand should you fold? So, for example, on my sheet here, it will show in, what color? Let's go with, that's the 4-bet one. Hold on, chart. So basically, it'll show you like, okay, in beige, it'll show you the hands you should re-raise with, right? In green is all the hands you call with, and then the purple are the folds. So if you're playing heads up, it basically tells you, all right, every time you have Jack 5 offsuit and your opponent raises, you should fold. If you have Jack 6 offsuit, you should mostly call, right? It gives you basically a fundamentally sound strategy to playing pre-flop. It shows you, for example, all right, the more complex it gets, it's like 3-betting, right? Well, how often should you 3-bet your opponent? And it gives you sort of the hand ranges, and it also does it sometimes with a mixed strategy. So say, for example, someone 3-bets you and you want to 4-bet with 10s, well, you should do that roughly half the time. And you can see that in a chart based on the color coding. So that's what a pre-flop chart does. Most people that play at a high level have a pretty good understanding of it. I don't use them. Because I essentially memorized, for the most part, my main lines and what hands I'm going to be playing in certain positions. So, and also it's not that big of an advantage either way, even if you are playing perfectly, because there's just very little edge in the pre-flop battle there.
Gotcha. So, because I was, and then I saw yesterday you guys agreed you're going to use, anybody can use all charts and all data because it's the same for both people. Is that what you guys?
Well, here was the issue, right? So he reached out to me and said, like, because we agreed on no charts, and then he's like, well, can I make notes during the match? And I thought, well, that seems fair and reasonable, like we're playing the match. And then then you can be like, well, obviously use these notes from match to match, right? So you can't carry them with you. So really, you could essentially on a piece of paper write down the exact pre-flop game tree that you want to play and have that in a note. So it's really not that much different. So I was like, all right, because there are notes that I want to have with me that my crew, will prepare in terms of adjustments and things, that I want to be doing as well. So I felt like, okay, I want notes because notes is part of the game. You can do that while you're playing live. You can have your iPhone. I have a whole thing in here of player tells, by the way. Let me see if I got Mike the Mouth. I don't know. I might. So I have in my phone, which is totally fair. Right? I sit down at a new table. I'm like, all right, Jason Kuhn. What do I got on Jason? Okay. Posture, blah, 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 this and that. And so note taking is part of the game. And if we're going to allow note taking, I guess, you can have your charts too.
Yeah. So, exactly, I saw you put out, I think yesterday, you guys are playing the first 200 hands live at the Poker Go studio. Is that correct?
Yes, we are. They're doing a really good job. They got clearance from Nevada Gaming to run events. They have 2 nurses on staff that are doing live testing. As you know, high stakes poker is going on right now. Yeah. So that players can play without a mask and feel free. And they're all being tested on site. 2-hour turnaround on those tests. So unfortunately, we can't get that universally across the country. We should. We're supposed to be the leader in that area, but hey, totally sidebar. Yeah. So the plan is to go to the studio. 200 hands should take about 4 or 5 hours. And then the remainder of the match will be played on WSOP.com. And we'll be playing over 2 tables. every other day,
Yeah.
at least 2-hour sessions, and they'll be streamed on my YouTube channel and other places too.
Well, it'd be nice, like, even though it's only 200 out of 25,000 hands, I think you have a kind of an edge there. I mean, maybe you could get up like 30 or 40,000 real quick.
Well, yeah, that's not very much, right? That's one buy-in.
Yeah.
In what we're playing, because the buy-in is 40,000, like that, that's 100 big blinds.
Yeah.
The concern for me, and it's fine because we'll do what we have to, is that he's going to see my hole cards for the first 200 hands. I didn't want to show my hole cards because I feel like, he's very, very good at picking apart what I may be doing in terms of whether they're mistakes or whether they're good, and adjust to that, right? We'll obviously do the same thing, but because he's more advanced at this format, I think it serves him well. Having said that, obviously watching poker on TV without hole cards is really boring and lame.
Yeah.
Right. So I felt like, for 200 hands, I'll bite the bullet and be like, all right, let's do that for 200 hands, and then we'll make the adjustments we have to for the online portion.
Yeah. So, I mean, why are you doing this? I mean, I've heard that question from many people. I personally reached out to you, like, why are you giving him a platform? Is it just that you just want to just bash his face in so bad? Or is it because, I mean, tell me.
Well, really, it's the first time he's ever challenged me.
Okay.
He's obviously attacked me mercilessly, basically making a smear campaign for years. But this was the first time he's like, all right, let's play heads up. And I thought to myself, all right, it's COVID year. Not a lot going on in the poker world.
Right.
Everybody wants to see this. It doesn't mean anything, right? It's like, if he wins, he's supposed to win. If I win, awesome. Like, it doesn't actually have any meaning past it'll be entertaining, I think, for people to watch, and everybody wants to see it. And I thought to myself, all right, well, I have a lot of free time at home. Maybe it's worth studying and working on my heads up game and challenging him. And like the way that I see it, all I have to lose really is money, and I have money, so I'm good there. Outside of that, outside of you, which is scary to me, you and Phil Helm, you think I'm a huge favorite. That's scary to me.
I don't think you're a huge favorite. I'm betting on somebody who I think is maybe $1.30 dog, and I'm getting 4-1. I don't think you're a favorite. I'm just being a realist. It's like if you bet on a match that the guy is $1.30 favorite, and they're saying, instead of a plus 120, I'm giving you 4-1. I'm taking the 4-1. That's where I'm thinking. We don't think you're a favorite. We just think the price is ridiculous. That's all.
Yeah, no, I think the price is a little bit high because also a lot of the data and the research that I've looked at, it is theoretically possible to have a 5 to 10% edge on somebody in heads up and lose 80 buy-ins, like going an 80 buy-in downswing, which seems impossible.
No,
right?
I know that. I've played enough head up to know that you could go on massive downswings. The reason what I say is, like, I know that if he thinks that you're going to be like me and Phil were talking, it's like the old saying goes, is like, if you think you're that much better than a top player and you could just run them over, you need to reevaluate. And, I got some inside information of people that know him, and he's like running around saying, I can't lose. This is free money. And somebody said, you need to take Daniel seriously. He says, no, I don't. And so now he could just be talking that, but this person's a pretty good friends with him. And so I got one guy who I know has took it seriously, who I know is a better overall poker player, and getting 4-1 on, I just don't think you're a 4-1 dog. And that's, I just think there'll be a time where with 3,000 hands to go, this match will be close one way or another, and I'm going to be seeing what happens getting 4-1. That's all.
Yeah, listen, I hope you're right. And as I said, I think because I've had a limited amount of time to work, and it's funny because the more I learn, it's like the old saying, like the more you learn, it's like there's a diagram. The more you learn, the more you realize you don't. The more you know, the more you realize you don't know. Right. Right. So opening up this new Pandora's box of information and data, and like realizing, all right, every time I feel like I'm super confident, got it figured out, I'm like, whoa, I just hit the tip of the iceberg of work that I have to do in order to prepare myself. The good news for me is as I said, I can sort of take the beginning of the match at a slower pace and really sort of dissect what's happening, work with my guys, make adjustments. And my hope is that relatively quickly, I'm able to close the gap, or whatever the case may be. And I do believe that I'm unique in that regard. I think a lot of people who have spent 4 to 5 years on something, I already have like 20 years of play under my belt, so I understand poker. So as soon as it clicks for me, where I'm like, I get what you're saying now, I grasp things very, very quickly. So I've been able, like the guys that I work with have been frankly very impressed with how quickly I've been able to just drill things into my mind. Like there are certain things now that I can do in real time that are pretty complex. Like I don't want to say too much specifically in case people are listening, but like breaking down hands in a theoretical, methodical way is so different than when we played poker. Because me and Mike, you look at a guy and you're like, this guy's got shit, raise, right? Yeah. Well, that's not how you can play online poker in 2 tables. In 2 line, you got to like look at the situation and go, all right, what bluffs, what value combos can he have here? What bluff combos can he have here? What price am I being laid? And all that stuff. So, so it's a different way of thinking, but this is where I think you and Phil both, and I know you've been more open to it than Phil has, would do yourself a great service instead of poo-pooing and being like, these fucking stupid GTO shits. Like instead of shitting on it, like actually realize that if you incorporated some of that stuff into your game, it would only make you way better.
Oh, I know that. Absolutely. I mean,
the idea of just going push it's stupid. Yeah. For all you listening right now or watching, like don't go there, because these kids that work really hard on this stuff, they're really fucking good. And they're good because they're using this stuff. There's nothing that holds you or Helmuth back from doing that outside of with Phil. You know how he is. He's like, I invented GTO. So
no, Phil's the Donald Trump of poker. It's like he knows everything. He's the greatest. It's tremendous.
I'm good at no limit hold'em.
There you go. What'd you say?
Because I'm good at no limit hold'em.
Oh yeah, okay. And so that's the problem with Phil. But if Phil, I tell Phil all the time, if he puts the work in,
My ROI is the best ROI in history. I'll say that.
Danny, you're funny. So I mean, I know that it's important to put the work in and put some time in, and I even the World Series this year, I cashed 12 out of 24. I had a chance to win a couple, just didn't work well. You had a really good job online this year, and I never played tournaments, so I know if I put in the work, it would really be different. There?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. So, it's kind of, it's the old saying goes, I tell people all the time, my dad told me this when he was alive and when I was growing up, his son, in life, if you work hard enough, you can have anything. And same with poker, and that's why I bet on you. I just know you've put the work in. I know you work hard. And it's not that I'm thinking you're a favorite. I just want to get 4-1 who's somebody I think might be at most $1.50 dog. So, if you could do that your whole life, you'd make a lot of money, right?
Right. Yeah. Again, and I saw Jonathan Little did a really good breakdown of just doing the math on the bet and whether or not 4-1 is a good price. And Jonathan Little felt like it was. And essentially, for that to be right, I would have to win the match 25% of the time. Right.
Right.
So what you can do is you can use a variance calculator and figure out, all right, well, how big of a favorite does he have to be to do that? So we use a metric called big blinds per 100, right? So how many big blinds per 100 do you beat somebody for? Well, for him to be a winning bet at 4-1, he'd have to win at least 8 big blinds per 100 hands, okay? Which he has done in the past against a lot of players. Now, my hope is that, like, for example, if I'm only losing 5 big blinds per 100, you're printing, because I don't have to win the bet. If I think he said, if I'm losing 5 big blinds per 100, I would win the match 39% of the time,
right? Which
is 60-40. So if I can get to that number, then you got a really good bet. If it's 8, now it's pretty close to an even money bet. But if it's more and he absolutely just destroys me and picks me apart, now you're making a bad bet because I'm not a favorite to win 25% of the time in that case.
I just don't see that. That's that's what I'm saying.
Well, we'll see when the match begins.
So how's life going, man? How things been going for you?
Well, life's great. Like, me and my wife, we're both we like staying home. Like, we really enjoy it, and she's done the whole upstairs, and she's got it all. She added her touch to it. And I know that for a lot of people, like, the lockdown and stuff was like really problematic, and it wasn't. And I'm not happy about it, of course, but for us, we've been pretty blessed. I'm financially okay, and we can stay home and take little risks and stuff like that. So for us, it's been really good. Like we bonded, we've gotten closer over the whole thing. And
well, that's what I figured. It's like unfortunately with my girl, it's gone the opposite way. It's going to do one or the other. It's going to make you bond, or it's going to make you hate each other worse. So it's been tough on me. I've gone through. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I've had some really depressing days. I struggle with. I mean, I struggle with depression over my life, and these when you start looking at walls over and over, and then you're by yourself, and I've had some tough days. I'm mentally, but overall, I mean, the 2020 has been the best year financially for me since 2013. I've been able to get on my feet. Got some, I got invited to some home games, and things have been good in that area. But and I'm fortunate, like you said, we're fortunate. There's a lot of people that aren't fortunate, and my heart bleeds to those people, that are struggling with this fucking pandemic. It just sucks, But it is what it is, and you got to make the best of it, and that's it. So a year ago at this time, or 4 years ago at this time, we fucking hated each other, and 4 years
I still
later,
fucking hate you. You crazy?
I know.
Jesus.
And but 4 years later, I look at it, and I was telling somebody the other day, right? Because I watch a lot of people on poker Twitter, and they're going back and forth. Trump's the worst. Trump's the best. Da, da, da. And I'm thinking to myself. And I'm looking at him, I'm thinking, man, that was me and Daniel 4 years ago. I'm like, we were fucking insane, But listen, it's good to have a passion no matter what side you vote for. I tell people all the time, I don't care what side you vote for, go out and fucking vote. It's important to do, And, it's, listen, I know it's very divisive. It sucks, but, we'll see what happens, I honestly, I've told you this in person. I have no problems telling it to thousands of people. If people want to support Trump because of his policies, that's good. And I say, if you don't like his policies and you hate him, that's good. But and people will say, they'll argue with me, and I know a lot of people get mad when I say this. Trump showed during COVID that he's not a leader. Okay, now you could say anything else you want. Wrong. Shut up. And I don't. And the thing is now if you can understand and deal with the fact, and you love his policies like I do, and you want to eat the bullet and bite for him, that's fine. But I mean, like, his lack of leadership skills was exposed when he showed no empathy for a country that was scared to death for months. And I just. I see that, and anybody that doesn't see that is just an idiot. So, you have to ask yourself, do you want some? The thing is I always tell people, I have no problem. My girl don't have a problem. I kind of do. My girl doesn't have a problem with it. A lot of people don't, but like if you have kids, man, your kids look up to your president. They don't want to hear somebody say the things he says. I wouldn't want my young kid, if I had a young kid, say,
like, how do you tell your 5-year-old who's calling people names at school,
correct,
to do that and be a good boy, when the leader of the free world is mocking people and calling them nicknames?
And that's my big problem that I have with Trump. Okay, it's like, I truly believed he'd be more presidential. And I'll never forget, this is the thing where I said, you got to be kidding me. It was like 2 months or a month after he was inaugurated, when he was fighting with Arnold Schwarzenegger on Twitter about ratings with The Apprentice. I thought it was a joke. I thought they were like good friends and they were joking. But as it ends up, he was serious, and his whole presidency ended up being like that. And I just don't, a lot of people, I know I'm going to get shit from the people on the right that follow me when I say this, but and they'll say, oh, you're pandering to Daniel. No, it's not. I just how I feel.
I mean, whether you're voting for him or like him or not, you have to admit he's just a fucking asshole. Like,
he's
the guy
moron.
acts like an asshole. So like you said, and here's the thing, you talk about his policies a lot, and I wonder, like, if you really think about it, does this guy really understand much of what's actually happening? Or is he mostly a bullshitting con artist who has other people in the Republican Party, Mitch McConnell in the Senate, really making, but this guy doesn't read. Like, he doesn't read books. They've said that, like, if you want him to read something, it has to be one page in bullet form, and he doesn't have the attention span to go deep into issues. So his knowledge base of issues is very, very minimal, yet he does things which make him a really bad leader in this sense. It's like, he says things like, I know more about war than the generals. I know more about science than the scientists. I know more about Omaha 8 or better than Mike Matusow, right? It's like, when he does, that's the sign of a poor leader. That's why with a guy like Biden, and listen, obviously Biden, has his issues as well, and maybe not the ultimate wasn't my first choice or whatever, but at the very least, he understands that he wants to surround himself with the smartest people in the room and then listen to them on things that they're experts on, and then make policy decisions based off of that. With Trump, the problem is this: wherever you stand, if you stand against him, he attacks you mercilessly.
No, I agree.
I agree. Fauci, he makes Lindsey Graham the enemy. Anyone who's been that he hired, because he only hires the best people. All these people he hired that later went to jail or got fired or whatever, they were awful, they were stupid, they were dumb. I'm like, you hired them, and now you're firing them. So that's the issue with him, is he runs things much like a dictator, in the sense that, if you do not stand exactly aligned with him, he will come after you and attack you mercilessly.
And you know what? I agree with you. But it's like you have the choice basically is, can you accept that and go with somebody who we know that the economy was record, everything was record before COVID came. A lot of people love his policies, what he's done. Or do you want to go and vote for a 47-year politician who really hasn't done much in 47 years? So, that's basically the contrast. And
but not exactly, too, because I'll tell you what. This is so crazy to me, because this is so blatantly obvious, and it goes all the way back from Reagan to Clinton back then, to Bush, to Obama, to now, okay? Each and every time when Clinton took office, the economy was at a low. By the time he left, the economy was on the upswing. Obama entered in 2008 during the auto bailout issue and the financial crisis in the financial sector. So the country was in a low. Within 8 years, he had the economy on a continual uptick, right? So Trump comes into office. It's obviously on the same uptick, right? And one of the reasons for that is, at the highest levels, like, Trump's policies really help you if you're not you, Mike, but like if you're really, really wealthy and you're really, really rich and you have a lot of stock and all that, it helps you. That's the thing. It does not help you so much, because what ends up happening is the bottom falls out. So whoever comes in next when Trump's done will have a huge mess to clean up. And part of that mess is, the leftover issues, related to the pandemic, right? Because as you said, he hasn't handled this as well as he could, partly because of cuts to CDC and, people that were overseeing what's going on in China to make sure that nothing spreads, or at least they're on top of it and things like that, and have a deeper understanding. So it's constantly this case of the economy looks good because Republicans are like, lower taxes, rich people get rich, but then the bottom falls out, because where does that money go for education, for healthcare, for all these types of things? It's gone because the billionaires and trillionaires now all have just bigger yachts and more of them.
But I've had people call. I have a lot of people call into my show that own businesses. I've had a podcast where I asked for people to call in that have businesses between, I don't know, anywhere between 10 and 30 employees. And I had about 4 different people call in. And I asked them, is your business better under Trump or under Obama? And everyone would say that the regulations that Obama put on literally destroyed their business, and when Trump lifted the regulations, it allowed them to thrive. When you hear that, what do you say to people like that?
Well, I would obviously, I don't know who said it, and it's like Trump does this a lot, where like many people are saying, but when I look at the actual facts and the numbers, and I look at Obamacare specifically, right? Republicans have talked about, we're going to repeal and replace. We have a new plan. It's great. It's beautiful. It's 2 weeks away. Yeah. It's been 2 weeks away for 5 years now.
I agree with you. Yeah.
They give you this, there's like literally no plan, and he's almost done his first term, right? So here's the issue. Obviously, when Obamacare went through, there was a lot of people unhappy with it, right? Because it wasn't the full plan that the Democrats wanted to pull through. He had to work with the other side. This is at a time where that was possible.
Right.
Partisan politics, that's over now. Like, there's no more doing that. It's just, if you have the majority, you get to do what you want, period. We're not getting both sides to agree on anything. So here's what people don't look at when they look at Obamacare. The rate of like the cost for people's Medicare costs were going up at a very, very high rate. They continued to under Obama, but at a more tapered level. They were not skyrocketing quite as high. They somewhat leveled up. They did still go up for a lot of people, the cost of healthcare. But it did do a lot of things that Trump says we're going to do, people with pre-existing conditions. I'm like, well, we already have that, right? So if you don't have a plan to replace completely Obamacare, right, why not look to see how you can improve it and make it better? Every civilized country in the entire world has healthcare as a right, right? In America, we tout the Second Amendment right. We all have the right to, bear arms. Great. But what about the right to affordable healthcare? Like, shouldn't that trump, pardon the pun, everything else? Right?
We're gonna take some phone calls in a little bit, and we're gonna see, what people have to ask you and stuff, and hopefully it'll be a lot about your match and not so much about politics, because I know politics is pretty divisive. But I agree with you what you say. You can't just repeal and replace Obamacare. We know it had problems, and then we're 4 years later. Oh, it's going to be great. Well, we've been hearing it's going to be great forever. And where's the plan? I'm not sitting there just. These are the things that I dislike about Trump. The things that you have just mentioned. But there is a lot of things I do like about him.
Well, isn't there a major concern for you that he owes the president of the United States owes $421 million to foreign entities that we don't know who they are, what they do, where they're from, because he won't release his tax returns? That puts you in a very compromising position as the leader of the free world. This comes a long way from when Carter had to sell his little cherry tree because he didn't want to have a conflict of interest. Meanwhile, Trump has buildings in a lot of different countries and does business and uses taxpayer dollars to take golf trips and to visit Mar-a-Lago, his own properties, which he ups, he charges 3-4x the price to the government. So it's the taxpayer who's paying for all this stuff. So that's a major concern for me going forward. The amount of the ability for him to say before the election, the first one, he says, I will release my tax returns. He promised he would, and he hasn't. He continues to hang on to this baloney, which is an audit that's a never ending. And the reason for that is he knows there's going to be things that are unpopular in there and possibly incriminating.
Yeah, so a lot of people talk about how Democrats allowed U.S. companies overseas and didn't do anything. They put all their jobs overseas, and Biden was all part of getting the China into the World Trade Organization, and now when the pandemic hit, it showed that having our medicine overseas was a big downside, where Trump has been saying this since 1987 about China, and now that when the pandemic hits, everything he said comes to fruition. There's where you have most of your Trump's voters. What do you say to that?
Well, I say, here's the thing. Who are we as America, right? Historically, we've been allies with Europe, with Australia, with Canada, and all those countries are considered allies, part of NATO, part of making the world a better place. What does it look like now? We're alienating those people, embracing Kim Jong-un. He has never said even 1% of a negative thing about a man in Russia named Vladimir Putin, who literally poisons his opposition, right, that run against him. And, he's aligned himself with dictator types.
Well, he's trying to make a deal. You got to make a deal. You gotta, that. If you want to get something done, or your agent wants to get something done, you suck up. You say, hey, we're offering this, we're offering this, we're offering this. So you can't. It's not a. One thing I do agree, it's a good thing to be friends with Putin. It's a good thing to try and get along with him.
Do we really want to isolationist America first, blah, 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 isolate ourselves from the rest of the free world? Is that good for the economy here?
No, but I think it's important that we don't start foreign wars, spend $6 trillion on foreign wars. And Trump's the first president in 39 years that didn't start a foreign war. What do you say? When you say people see that, these are what people, that on the right, they see that and they like him. You see what I'm saying?
So what I do is I look at what are the people in the cabinet that work in the national security, that have been doing it for 30, 40 years, FBI and all these people, and like listening to what they have to say about the dangerous alliances we're making with the corrupt and dangerous dictatorships of the world, rather than the democratic states, and looking at what Trump wants to create, right? So, he's on record as saying he's not committing to a peaceful transfer of power. That's one of the scariest things a president could say. We've always
come
had
on,
that,
but Hillary still hasn't accepted the
look,
results of the election. She still hasn't but
there was listen, first of all, she's not the president. She wasn't the president, and it was over. And she wasn't in power and stayed in power. Trump is literally saying he's not committing to saying that if the vote says I'm out, I'll leave.
No,
right?
he said that. He said if the votes say I'm out and the courts come back in court shows that nothing nefarious was done, he said I'd step down.
No, he did not.
He did.
No,
he clarified it like 3 days later. I definitely heard it.
So basically, he's going to fight it in the courts, and he's going to try to get courts to take every mail-in ballot and every ballot that came in before. And this is what he does. He did this in the last election too. He throws it out where he says it's going to be rigged, right? It's going to be rigged. The election's rigged. Everything's rigged against me, right? So now, if he loses, it's rigged. If he loses big, it's obviously rigged. If he wins by a little, well, he would have won by more if it wasn't rigged, right? So unless he wins in a landslide, and even if he does, he says, we won in a landslide, despite it being rigged. So what he does is he sets the table in such a way where no matter what, he's the winner, but it actually tears down the trust we have in our democratic system. Like he's constantly saying that U.S., that our democracy is corrupted by the point like that the vote doesn't matter is what he's saying, right? And he's having people believe in this on both sides.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think there's some truth to it, but I think it comes from the other side, and he thinks it comes from the Democrat. He thinks there's a whole bunch of buses.
That's the thing that's funny. It's like, and I'm glad, like in the 4 years ago, we can never talk and debate politics, which I really love doing this. I love debating politics, but I say to myself, it's like you say that, and we're going to get some callers here. It'll be funny. And the people who think on the other side say, oh, it's the Democrats are all doing it, and they're blaming it on the Republicans. And the Democrats say it's the Republicans that are all doing it.
Which group wants less people to vote? Which group actively wants to make it more difficult and have less people vote? And it's on record, Republican strategists flat out saying that and Trump himself saying that if everyone votes, a Republican could never win ever again. Because they're very good at this. The Republicans are way better at politics than the Dems. The Dems are pussies by comparison. But these guys are brazen. They are brazen. They will gerrymander. They will vote us rest. They will say, with Obama having 1 year left, 1 full year to appoint a Supreme Court justice, say, oh, no. We should let the people decide.
What they should have done.
People vote. Hold on. We should let the people vote, right? Now, just 3 years later, they give zero fucks about the hypocrisy where millions of people have already voted. Right. And now you're appointing a Supreme Court during an election, and it's like literally 3 years ago, and they just give no fuck. So
here's where I agree with you on that. Yeah,
they're like ruthless. Yeah.
Here's where I agree with you on that, and I disagree. What the Republicans should have done 4 years ago is say, we have an election coming up. We have the majority in the Senate, and we're not going to confirm a judge. So that's why we're not going to put the vote forward. Instead, I will agree with you. They did say, oh, it's an election year. Let the people vote. So I agree with you. That is hypocrisy. Now, when a judge has been nominated and confirmed 29 times, when the person who owns the Senate also owned the presidency. So their messaging 4 years ago should have been, we have the Senate, we're not confirming the judge, so we're not going to put a vote forward. Instead, I agree with you, what they did is complete hypocrisy.
Yeah, so basically, if you tell the truth, which would have been Mitch McConnell being there with his fucking chin coming out of his ass, saying, you know what? We're going to do whatever we can to fuck Obama during this period, and I've done a good job. He said it on Hannity. He's like, well, basically, because, Obama didn't appoint that many judges in comparison to Trump, and Mitch McConnell's like, that's because of me. Yeah. That fucking guy is the Grim Reaper, as far as I'm concerned. I tell you.
He's
actually intelligent, too. He's scary.
I talked to my good friend Ashley last night. We talk politics all the time. She's very far left, but we also have good constructive conversations about what we like and we don't like. And we're gonna start taking phone calls after this. But our basic thing is, if the media had libel laws and they were held accountable every time they lied, and they put term limits on every one of these motherfuckers, including Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, all these fucking people, this country would thrive. If there was a 2-term limit, so a senator, 12 years, a House person, 4 years, a fucking, we have on the presidency, 2 terms. If we put term limits on, and then the media is held completely accountable every time they lie, we'd have a good country. Right now, I think those are the biggest problems in the country.
Unfortunately, then Fox News would just cease to exist.
Well, I mean, you say that, but I say that there's way more. I mean, I think CNN is all propaganda. So, a matter of fact, I don't think you could get 2 out of 10 things they ever say that's ever true. So,
all right. Well, you know what we could do? What? You and me and you, we could do this. How about we do a fun fact check thing? We'll watch 1 week, or we'll basically look at facts and we'll see after fact checking how close to true one is versus the other.
Yes! Oh, that's the greatest one yet. The only thing is, after this, you might become a Republican. That's the only thing.
Zero chance I would cut my own fucking dick off and stick it in my own ass. That's impossible.
Oh, baby. I can't wait to watch that one. Can we videotape that?
What's that?
Can we videotape that one?
I'm about putting teeth in people's ass, but I think putting my own dick in my own ass is okay, right?
Well, yeah, sure. As long as you're not doing it to, I think you did it to, or doing it to other people after you got beaten a hand earlier this year or something like that. I don't know. All right, so let's open up the phone lines. Hold on 1 second. Play
The Mouthpiece.
If you'd like to take part in our phone call segment, you can give us a call at 702-329-0480. And if you're a snowflake or a pussy and you don't want to talk to me, you can email me at mouthpiecepodcast@gmail.com. Also, follow me at the Mouth Matiso on Twitter for times that our call-in segment will be live. Call us now live, 702-329-0480. 702-329-0480. We'll talk. We can ask Daniel and me any questions you want about his challenge, about poker, about politics. Anybody that calls and gets nasty on the phone in any way, I will hang up on them. So be polite, call in, and ask me and Daniel whatever you want. All right. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike and Daniel. How's it going?
What's up, Mike? Daniel? I'm big fans of you guys. I've been watching you guys forever.
Cool, man. Thanks for calling. Appreciate it.
I love you guys, both of you.
You got any questions for us?
Well, I was going to ask Daniel. Daniel's a Democrat, huh?
Yes.
Daniel?
That is correct,
So
yes.
What do you think about the Hunter Biden scandal? Do you think
This one is really, it's funny because you call it a scandal, and it's actually kind of silly to me because I'll tell you what. This was really funny to me. I couldn't believe that Rudy Giuliani actually tried to sell this. So the theory is that Hunter Biden, who lives in Los Angeles, flew to New York, okay, to drop his laptop off so that he can get it for $85 looked at by a blind person. I'm not making this up.
That's not true. This is the place he dropped it off was 3 blocks from his house.
The laptop from hell.
Blind guy. But so this blind guy, supposedly who's working on his laptop, who can't see, but decides to YOLO go inside and look inside the emails to see if there's anything in there.
I agree. It doesn't sound good. It doesn't.
Hold on, and then no, it's bullshit. And then it gets in Rudy Giuliani's hands somehow because Rudy's always looking for dirt, right? What they're trying to do is recreate the 2016 Hillary scandal. There's nothing here. It's been investigated. There's like nothing. There's absolutely no sign of any corruption, and it has been investigated by independent, investigators, both on the Republican and the Democratic side and the FBI, and it's been cleared. So,
but what do you think about that guy? That Russian guy that went
besides, hold on, Hunter Biden isn't running for president. Like, it's not like what Trump did, which he brought Ivanka, Jared, his son, and put him in cabinet positions, which is nepotism, and it's a dangerous trend. We don't want that. Hunter has nothing to do with the campaign. He's his son, and he loves his son. And in the text message, it says, "Listen, I love you, son. The guy had a drug problem.
Yeah.
He beat it." And I think.
I mean, what do you think of this Bobulinski? I mean, he came with all the emails. He came with all, showed all the evidence that they were.
Didn't Tucker Carlson say that he was
FBI stuff, right?
and it got lost in the mail? All the documents got lost in the mail.
No, they got it back. They found it back, and there, there is UPS. UPS did send saying they apologized for it. So it's like, but there's a lot of things that don't make sense on that. I agree with you. I believe it's true, but the way they're selling it, something ain't right. I don't know what, but it ain't right. So.
Well, it's basically here's the thing. Joe Biden in 47 years has never owned stock in a company. Okay. Mm-hmm. So when you talk about like being pure in that regard, like you can say maybe he hasn't done much in 47 years. That's fine. But like as far as being corrupt and working with companies and taking advantage, like that's not clear. There is no evidence of that. He hasn't even owned stock in companies. Now, if you wanted to do like look at the shoe on the other foot, we've never had more allegations and convictions of corruption when it comes to Trump University, complete scam. When it comes to their charities, stealing money from it, taking money out of that, and like owing foreign countries hundreds of millions of dollars as the president of the United States. Like, if we want to look for a scandal on those lines, and you got Hunter Biden over here versus Trump, I mean, it's not even close.
Somebody just put in this text, they said to ask Daniel, how did Joe Biden get rich off $174,000 a year, where he's literally making $10 million a year now? Did he miraculously
I believe it's all on record as books, like the book that he wrote.
All right,
now hold on. So
go ahead.
Go ahead. Has Biden shown his tax record?
Yeah, he paid $3.5 million in taxes last year.
Joe Biden has shown every year of his tax record. The only president in history that did not is the corrupt one that we have right now, because he's got a whole bunch of shit to hide. There's no reason. This audit thing is complete bullshit. No audits last this long where you couldn't release a single year of any part of his taxes. It's bullshit. He's lying. He said he was going to show them. He's not showed them. He said he's got health care. He's got nothing. He said he's going to build this beautiful wall and Mexico's going to pay for it. He lied to your ass, and that's what he continues to do.
But Dan, are you scared though that the world will change if Biden does take over? Do you think that they're going to take him out of office and put Kamala in there?
That's what scares me. That's what scares me. What do you think of that, Daniel?
I love Kamala Harris. I'm super excited to have her be the president.
Oh, I hate her guts.
Imagine having once again an actual intelligent person who understands policy and understands the rule of law and understands how to prosecute it and actually, graduated from school on their own merits and is actually intelligent. I'd be more than happy to see Kamala Harris.
That's the problem I have. I'm the opposite. I think she's an evil person. If I really thought Joe Biden was going to run the country, there's a chance. I mean, I could lean the other way. I'm not going to lie, but I just hate Kamala, and I'm really scared of her running the country. So,
well, wouldn't Nancy Pelosi be the vice president? So that's what I was told, or is that not true?
She would be, I think. Yes,
she would be third in line. So, obviously, if it was Biden and if something would happen to Kamala, then she would be next in line, because she's much like Mitch McConnell would be on the other side.
Right. All right.
What are your thoughts about them closing the economy down for the virus? I mean, I'm not scared of the virus. I don't wear masks. I think it's overrated, but
I'm not scared of it either. But you know what? That's the only thing that does scare me. I don't know what Daniel's opinion on that is. Do you think that he would go that far and close the country back up?
Okay, first of all, Trump has been running this show, right? Because he's the guy, and he of course he takes zero. He says he takes zero responsibility, zero for what's happening.
That's his narcissism. That's his narcissism. That's all.
He said that, from that. As far as the question was related to, what was the question again?
Would Biden close the country back up again? We're going to hang up with you on that, because we're going to have to take another call in a second.
Social distancing.
Oh, okay.
We can see what's worked across the world, right? If Trump would have said this at his rallies, instead of what he does, he mocks people who wear masks, thinks some of them stupid or whatever, right? How does it harm you or hurt you to just show respect to your neighbor? Why not go up there in your rallies and say, you know what a true American patriot does? A true American patriot, looks out for our fellow neighbor, and we take care of each other. And even though, the risk is very small for you, it might be grave for your family members and the 200 and something thousand people who have come, who have died from, right? So why not? What is the problem?
I agree.
With us all as a community in a country saying, guys, let's not make this a political issue. That's stupid. let's all get on the same page and go, if we all tackle this aggressively, where we all wear masks and social distance, we can make a huge impact, like what we've seen across in other countries. Obviously, not every country has it under wraps, but and some countries have done better than others. But we're the United States of America. We're supposed to be the leader in all this stuff. We should have testing available for people within an hour. Yeah. Rapid testing is available. This should be administered in every state so that people can take care of themselves and we can resume, normalcy. The problem is if we do things too early and we're not completely full, then it sort of makes the last 7 months all for naught. We have record numbers today and yesterday of people dying and of people being infected in this country, right? What is the problem with saying?
Well, he did. In all fairness, at his rally yesterday, he went full. Everybody should wear a mask and social distance. It's the first rally he's actually done it with, and I think that's because it's been a big political. But it's been a big political issue, and there's a lot of people that believe in, hey, we live in a free country. We should do whatever we want. We know the risk of COVID. Why should we go out and wear a mask? And there's a lot of people that believe that.
Trump is the lead. Listen, they will do whatever Trump says. Right? His followers will do it.
All right,
if he would flat out tell them to wear a mask, if they really stuck with that, all of them would wear a mask.
I agree. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike and Daniel. What's going on?
Aloha, Mike and Daniel.
Hey, how are you?
This is Drew in Hawaii.
Drew, my buddy Drew. What's going on?
I got a question for Daniel, man. Daniel, first off, good luck with your upcoming match with Doug Polk.
Thank you very much.
And my question for you is, not that I want to go in a somber direction, but do you have any good stories? Because I was watching the video in regards to Mike Sexton. Any good memories that you can tell us about Mike Sexton?
Oh, yeah. So I did that. I thought you were going to say Sam Grizzle, who just passed away.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a few.
No, well, both of them. But basically, you were in the tournament, so you really had to talk pretty quick. So, it was only like a couple minutes. I'm wondering if you have any really good stories that you can bring up about Mike Sexton.
Well, I will just say about Mike, everyone talks about this whole ambassador thing, and I think it's a silly term to call poker players ambassadors. I mean, I don't like the term for myself, but if there is a poker ambassador, if there ever was one, it's 100% Mike Sexton. There is no other poker ambassador. This guy, I remember from the late 90s, had this vision of corporate sponsorship and making these things happen. And he had the balls and the guts to actually go out and create these events. First, it was the Tournament of Champions. Later, he tried to create sort of a Ryder Cup style format for poker players, Europe versus America type stuff. And then, of course, he moved on to the World Poker Tour, Party Poker, and continued to just be the guy who gave everybody time. He was just a class act in every way. He's, in poker, there's very few people that everyone looks at and goes, I like him. Everyone to a person liked Mike Sexton because he handled himself with class and care. And I'd say the funniest story with Mike is I told this one already, but he got me good on the golf course, all right? Because listen, as much as Mike is a nice guy, he also had hustle in him, all right? So I'm sitting there in the first tee, and Mike says, I'm a bogey golfer. Now, if you're a bogey golfer, you're going to shoot about 90. That's about your average, right? So Mike, we also got Phil Ivey out on the course, and, they have a big match going as well. So he birdies number 5, 6, and 7. He says, I'll tell you what, I never birdied 2 holes in a row. Well, I never birdied 3 holes in a row. Goes on to shoot 75, which is not possible for a bogey golfer. He beats me for like $90,000. But it's funny because I lost that money to him, and I didn't even feel bad about it because it's like, all right, whatever. You hustled me, cool. Nice, good for you.
Yeah, that's what they say about golfers, And Drew, I appreciate you calling in. You got any good Sam Grizzle stories? I told some last week. I'm actually going to his funeral. His funeral is he's got a wake at 9 a.m. Or I'm sorry, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Tuesday. We all know that we've gotten along with Sam. We know Sam's been kind of a little bit crazy in his life, whatever. But what's your best Sam Grizzle story?
Well, first of all, and I said this on my podcast yesterday, he's hands down, as far as I'm concerned, the absolute funniest, most witty poker player there's ever lived. There's nobody on his tier.
I agree.
He comes with the funniest quips, funniest one-liners that I've ever heard in my life, and has me in stitches all the time. And one of the things I think he gets a bad rap for is it's usually self-deprecating, where he's making fun of himself. Occasionally he's throwing jabs at other people too, but it's all in, for the most part, it's all in good fun. Yeah. But I remember one where, and this is an example of him being self-deprecating. He was just playing 1 in 2,000, right, for like a week. And, things didn't go well for him. So I'm sitting, this is when I'm coming up. I'm playing 20-40, limit hold'em at the Bellagio. And here comes Sam, and he's sitting in the 24-40 game with me after playing 1 in 2,000. So now he's sitting there, he's got a $100 bill and like 7 chips, like $170, and things are not going well. And he looks down, he goes, well, today I'm 40 and I'm playing 20 and 40. Maybe when I'm 80, I'll be playing 40 and 80.
That's pretty funny. All right, let's take some more phone calls, So, listen, we have a caller on the line. Okay, welcome to the Mouthpiece. It's Mike and Daniel. Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, welcome to the Mouthpiece.
Hi, this is Stuart from Joliet, Illinois.
All right, welcome to the show, Stuart.
Hey, I have a poker question for you.
All right.
I hate to change the subject, but
no, it's all good.
Hey, on episode 47 or 48, one of the two, you had made a comment that poker is a game of deception.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the other episodes, you were talking about, one of your conversations with Doyle Brunson and some of the old-time, like, Texas Road poker players, and how a slow play back in the day could end up being very unhealthy for you.
Slow roll. Slow roll, yeah.
Yeah, slow roll. So my question is two-part, I guess. First of all, what is your definition of a slow roll? And the other part would be, if poker is a game of deception, why is a slow roll such a bad thing?
Okay, so you're getting the two mixed up. We're going to hang up on you, and I'll answer the call off the air here. When I say a game of deception, you must make your opponent believe either you have a weak hand when you're strong, or you have a strong hand when you're weak. That's the deception of poker. A slow roll is when somebody literally has the best hand and is pretending he doesn't have it, and you move all in and call, and he laughs at you. I think Daniel will think the same thing, is the new age kids, it's just very it's bad etiquette, and it's just not a nice thing to do, and that's my opinion. What's your opinion on that, Daniel?
So I think also the terms that he's getting mixed up are slow play,
right,
and slow play.
Correct.
So slow play means like I flop the nuts and I check because I want you to bet. So I'm playing my hand slowly. Mm-hmm. Now that's a lot different than slow rolling someone. Slow
Correct.
rolling someone is, as Mike described, is the guy bets all of his money, and it's a lot of money, and you're sitting there and you have the nuts, you have 4 aces, and you hum and you haw and you
right.
like, so now you give this guy this false sense of hope that he wins, right? Now you call, the guy turns his hand over, like in the movie, he turns over his hand and you stare at it and go like this. So now he thinks he won the pot and you go, nah, eat it. I got you beat, right?
Exactly.
So that's a slow roll. It's like low class. Yeah, I mean, it is. I guess if you're buddies with people and, you have that sort of going back with each other, I guess it can be funny to some people, but overall
it's bad.
I would not do that to somebody. Like it's not funny to me. I just don't think it's funny.
Oh, I think we have somebody else on the line. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike and Daniel. Hello.
Hello.
Yo, welcome to Mouthpiece. What's up?
It's Brian from Wisconsin.
Okay. Hey, Brian. How are you doing?
Good. So I want to kind of dig on you guys just a little bit. First, Daniel, I just don't understand your politics. I mean, to Andrew Yang, I
liked Andrew Yang. I disagree with you on that, but go ahead.
No, I'm just saying I have 1.5 children that their sexuality is in question, but to go from him to Biden is just like, what are you? No, you're all Biden. It's like, no.
Well, he's not Biden. He's anti-Trump, is what it is. In all fairness.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know. I kind of get that.
Yeah.
But Mike, for you, I'm the bowling guy from the website.
Oh, okay, cool.
I can't understand how you're just like, I don't bet anymore. Oh, wait, I bet on the World Series last year before COVID. I bet on the Super Bowl before COVID, but I don't bet anymore. And now it's like, I just bet on the World Series.
I can answer that. I
don't bet.
Okay, that's a real good question. But when I bet on I used to have a serious sports betting problem where I'd bet 5 and 10 and 20 and 50K on a game. I bet $1,000. Okay, so that's to me, I've made like 3 bets in a year all for like $1,000 for fun. So that's when I say that. That's what you're hearing. So
yeah, but when you say I don't bet, you do bet.
Yeah,
so
no,
don't
not
bet
really.
you
I mean,
bet.
when you're with 15 people in Cabo and everybody's betting on the game, and you want to be on the same side of them, and you bet $1,000, that's a bet. Okay, if I was still betting, I'd be betting the football every week. I don't bet any football at all. I don't even bet my pick of the week. I don't bet anything. And when I bet the World Series, I'm a diehard Dodger fan, and I joke around saying I bet this much or that much, but I don't tell the truth. I bet $1,000, so that's all.
Well, even though I hate to say, I mean, I drink, you do drugs. I mean, you say I don't smoke anymore, but you smoke and all this.
I don't. I mean, I smoke pot at nighttime to go to sleep.
Be honest is what I'm saying.
But anyways, so answer. You can answer what that other question he asked you about.
So how do I go from Andrew Yang? So Andrew Yang, I really liked it because he's forward thinking. He's very, very intelligent. And, I think that the UBI is something that will ultimately be essential because I think as we have more automation and, more competition from the rest of the world that can do things with cheaper labor, like, call centers in India, et cetera, that, people are going to struggle here. So the UBI would ensure that people can get by. And it actually, there's evidence whenever they've done this. It doesn't make people go, oh, cool, I make $12,000 a year, I don't have to work. It's just not feasible because like how many people, $12,000 a year is the poverty line, right? So it's not like that's, you wouldn't be balling if you were living off the UBI. So how do I go from Yang to Joe Biden? Well, Yang also is supporting Joe Biden. And the main reason that I like Joe Biden is simply because I want a leader who I see as a decent, good man, who's actually compassionate and actually cares about people, but most importantly, has the humility to understand that he does not know everything and that he needs to listen to other people and delegate, right? For me, the mark of a true leader is someone that can say, all right, listen, I don't know a lot about wind and solar as much as you do. Can you advise me on how this works? Can you advise me on the environment? Whatever the case may be. With Trump, as I said earlier, he constantly undercuts people and says things out of his ass like, oh, maybe we'll put Lysol. And then he always says he's joking, whatever. But like, I find his arrogance and boastfulness and this idea that he knows everything. He knows more about wind than anybody. Nobody knows more about wind than me. Nobody knows more about this. I'm the least places. He's so rambunctious in that regard that it's impossible for him to delegate in a real way. So then he ends up having a bunch of yes men behind him because they're afraid that if they disagree with him, he will, throw them out and throw them to the wolves as he has done with pretty much everyone who's actually, left his cabinet.
We got somebody else on the line. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike and Daniel. How's it going? Hello? Okay.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. How's it going? You got a question for us?
He's got to turn off the podcast.
Yeah,
Good. This is Chris from. Yes, I do. So big fans of both of y'all. And not a political question, and I wanted to spin off of last week with Phil Hellmuth, and he made I've been playing poker, since about 1998, okay. And my question is, he kind of made a comment when he was talking about how he didn't study for the Magic or for the Antonio Esfandari heads-up match that,
right. Which I thought he'd lose because of it.
He made a comment about reading ability. Mm-hmm. And so I did a couple YouTube searches today on like, how do you get better at being a better reader of people? And I feel like they don't talk about that much these days. It's all about like GTO and like all this other strategy, but like, how do you get better at being a better reader of people? I think that's like a better skill than anything else.
I'm going to answer it first, and then Daniel will answer it, and we'll answer it off the air. We appreciate your question. Okay, so my answer to that is, I tell people this all the time, is you can't teach talent. Reading ability is talent. Now, if you don't have talent, that's where you have to fall back on all the math and the GTO strategies, which, if you play basic GTO and you don't have really good talent, you will be a winning poker player. As far, what's your answer to that, Daniel?
So I do cover some of this in my master class. But I do believe that this is something you can improve. And it is a talent and a skill that, yes, you're right, Mike, that some people are more in tune with than others, but it's something anyone can develop and learn. And essentially what you're looking for is patterns of behavior that are different, and then trying to match those to the hands that you see. So imagine watching poker, right? Let's say you could watch Mike Madison and notice, okay, every time he, blows his chips in the pot, what does he normally have? And then you can look at all the data and be like, all right, well, when he does that, it seems like usually he's got it,
right.
Or he's bluffing. And so whenever you see something that's outside the norm, that's something you can pay attention to. When I was very young, one of the things I liked to do, and then I started to do this later in life, just to practice poker, is I would go to the mall and I'd sit on a bench and just watch people walk by. No, I'm not joking. I would really do this. And I would look at what they're wearing, watch their shoulders, see how they carry themselves, and sort of think to myself, what kind of person is this? Right? Is this a confident person? Is this a person that someone was likely bullied in high school? Is this someone who's afraid, or, is this guy full of it? Is he a big ego? Whatever the case may be. And that helped me in my career to just be able to sort of like read and understand people. Here's the thing. We all have the ability. We're born with it, right? When a baby's in their mother's arms, right? The baby can look at the mom, right? And sense, just from looking at their face, whether or not mommy's happy or mommy's sad, right? We can do that from birth. What happens is as we get older, we go further and further from those instincts that are, there for this from the beginning. And we don't trust them as much. But like, how often have you ever met somebody where like within 5 seconds, they haven't even done anything to you, they haven't said anything, but you're like, I don't like this fucking guy. You don't even know why, because there's something subconscious that you're seeing that, is real. And,
well, let me ask something. Isn't that profiling somebody? Isn't that like everything the Democrats are against?
Well, you're not doing it based on the color of the person's skin. You're doing it based on mannerisms and what you do.
Yeah, okay.
So, sure, and again, I don't. You can describe it as profiling if you want, but it's not racial profiling. It's personality.
No, I agree. I mean, you could tell. I mean, how often I'll tell people we have another call on the phone. We're gonna get to in 1 second. I tell people all the time, like, how often do me and you sit down at a table, right? Whether it's a limit, and like any game, right? You look around the table. And you say, the first thing you tell yourself is, that's a weak spot, that's a weak spot, and that's a weak spot. Would you say 90% of the time you're right when you say that? Because I know I feel I am.
It doesn't take very long. So typically when I'm playing in a game, or like these days when I play in high stakes games, you just know everybody. So there's really no spot.
Yeah.
Back if I'm playing in like a 1500 World Series of Poker, I would say that the first 30 minutes to an hour of your session is the most important. I remember, Mike, sitting with you in a World Series of Poker event in the year, right around the year 2000. We're talking 20 years ago. We were playing in a limit hold'em tournament. It was a 5K. Okay. And I remember you played a hand. You were like talking and you weren't paying attention as much as you normally do or whatever. And you missed something. And you played this hand against this guy at the table. And you tried to bluff him or something like that in a spot where I'm like, if you would have watched the first 20 minutes, this guy never folded once, right? And like I remember like looking at you and saying, "Is like, if you would have paid attention, you wouldn't have lost this pot."
No, you're right. You're right, and it's happened. And that, I probably that tournament that I got 14th in, and I think you got like third. That was the one where that Carlos. That was the one the craziest hand that came up with the Syracuse Chris, Carlos Mortensen's wife at the time, says Cece, where we both had aces, kings, and queens, and then Syracuse Chris flopped queens full, Cece turned kings full, and I turned aces full, and everybody said rivered ace full. They all said, if you don't win this tournament, you're the worst. I think it was that limit hold'em tournament, but no, I agree. And as far as like paying attention, like I'll never forget when I won the Tournament of Champions in 2005. Like Hoyt Corkins, when he was strong, he took his chips, he moved them forward when he was raising the button. When he was weak, he moved them to the side. And the one hand he moved them forward, I said, oh, he's got a big hand. And then Phil Hellmuth re-raised. I said, uh-oh, I'm like, Phil's going to step in shit here. And they got it all in, and Hoyt had aces, and Phil had ace king. And I remember asking Phil, I go, how were you not aware of when he was strong or weak? So I do understand exactly what you're saying.
Anyways, I'm good at no limit hold'em.
Yeah, we got another caller on the phone. You're live on the Mouthpiece with Mike and Daniel. How's it going?
Hello.
Hello. How's it going? What's your name?
Hey guys. Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome.
My question. Congratulations with the Dodgers, Mike. Pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty sweet. Sweet.
Dave, my question is for David. I'm thrilled to be talking to you right now. I've been a big fan, both of you guys. But my question to you is about poker legislation going forward, like in the country. what do you guys think? What direction it's going to be? Go. And is it possible that everybody can be playing online poker again as a whole? I'll hang up and listen to your guys' answer.
Now, I'll answer my opinion on that first. Daniel can answer it second. I do know that Sheldon Adelson has always been against online poker. Trump's always been pro-gambling, casino, pro online poker. He is now officially selling all his stock in Sands. I think that is going to make a big difference on online poker being, whether Trump's reelected or not, of being legalized in Nevada, in the United States. Daniel, what's your opinion?
Yeah, so I would not hold my breath to expect anything at a federal level ever happening, or even, if it did, it would be 5 to 10 years out. What you can focus on, and you can sort of pressure your legislators, is going state to state. Correct. And not just going state to state, but then also working across states. So right now we're developing a little bit of a foothold, right? Because we have Nevada, we have New Jersey, you have Delaware, you have Michigan maybe coming on board, Pennsylvania, starting to grow. If you can get the two big ones in California and New York, well, now you have a massive critical mass, and you would see a real, big surge in online poker here in the country. But I think it has to happen state to state. California is a tough one. I used to go out there to try to convince legislatures and the tribes to get on board. And Pachanga specifically was a tribe that just didn't get it. They didn't understand how this is going to benefit them. They were worried about how it would affect their business. So California is kind of like a stalemate, which is unfortunate because that's a huge economy, the world's sixth largest economy. Yeah. So I would say that unfortunately, at a federal level, it's a lot more difficult. And frankly, this is the issue that I found when I spoke to a lot of these politicians, is that they have a lot of issues on the plate, right? Online poker is not high on their list, right? Yeah. If you're in California, you're probably worried about water, and making sure that, you're dealing with droughts and fires and whatever the case may be, in your state or your constituents' issues. And online poker ranks very, very lowly for them. Yeah. However, I tried to make the case for them, like, guys, this is just free revenue that you can use to pay for programs that you want to have. Because all these sites, like, they want to pay taxes. So yeah, I don't think you're going to see anything at the federal level for quite some time, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right, welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike and Daniel. Who's this?
Yo, what's up? This is Tanner.
Tanner, how's it going, man? Welcome to the show.
Hey, pretty good, Mike. I love watching your live streams, man.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it, man. We're trying to make Daniel's funny to watch too. I mean, he threatened to stick somebody's teeth up their ass and shit. So I mean, he's a fun live stream to watch, also, man.
No, I know. I like watching Daniel as well. My question is for Daniel. Daniel, could you talk a little bit about how Mike got in debt to you? When was that? What's that over? And do you have any alternatives on how Mike could possibly pay the debt back?
We've already worked on that. That's old news, and he's.
I got ideas. Okay, so you could
bet on him. Hey,
puppies poop in the backyard quite often. So maybe Mike can come around with a shovel, work off a couple bucks here and there. I don't know.
No, it's funny. As I said to Daniel, right? I'm like, okay, Daniel, like, I got 10,000. I can pay you off your debt right now. He's like, no. Bet it on me at 4-1 versus Doug, and then pay me the whole 40. So, I mean, what am I gonna do? I mean, when a guy says bet on me versus Doug over paying him back, I like the guy's confidence. So I did that.
I like it, Todd. Good luck, Daniel.
All right, my man. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care, guys.
Yeah, that's funny. But no, I explain to people that it's not. People think that I don't underestimate Doug. I just know he's not 4-1 favorite. That's all. I mean, it's the bottom line. It's like, I mean, anytime you get if you're gonna make a sports bet on anything, it's like in 2016 election, I knew Trump wasn't 5-1 favorite. He's about 2-1. The line's about right now, But anytime you get the best of a number, you jump on it, and that's why I bet on Daniel in this thing. So, anyways, we have a lot of missed calls, I'm sure. We have a lot of missed calls. Okay. Let's call. We'll get back to them if we have to. We're going to take about 5 more calls. So here we go. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike and Daniel. How's it going?
Hey, guys. This is Mike from Philadelphia.
Hey, buddy.
So my question was, what are you guys' thoughts on the high stakes poker show coming back? What do you guys consider playing in the future? And what are some of the best memories you guys have from being on the show?
Oh, that's a great question. We'll answer it off the air. I appreciate the question. High stakes is back. I was offered to play in it. I had somebody that wanted to stake me in it. I saw the lineups and I said to myself, it just didn't look like very fun to me. I didn't see anybody that wasn't world class. And as it turns out, Phil's been playing and he said, man, that was like the toughest game I ever played and nobody put a chip in the pot. So I decided to, because of the fact that I have the new guy that wants to put me in all these big events, I didn't want to get 100,000, 200,000 and make up with them in a game that there wasn't many fish in. So I passed on it. Daniel, you're not playing in season 1 either, correct?
Yeah, for me, it was a couple things. First, it was mainly because I'm so focused on this match and playing heads up, and I just didn't want to, be distracted by doing anything else.
Yeah.
But secondarily, it was like, I have people in my life and people around me that they're in the high risk category for, for potentially dying from COVID. So I want to make sure that I show them the respect of like not being loosey-goosey. And obviously it's relatively safe environment. They do testing there, but it is a large group of, you got 6 or 7 people and they're not wearing masks and all that stuff. And, sometimes even if you test on the day, like someone could still have it and just not show up yet. So I thought for me, I'm like, I can do the thing with Doug. It'll be me, him, and one person with the jib. Seems like doable. But I felt a little uncomfortable about that this early. But I am excited to see the show. I was down there the other day to check out the set. Looks great. You got Tom Dwan, you got Phil Ivey. You'll have a lot of fun, poker, I would imagine. I'm looking forward to watching it. I really believe strongly that a good poker show is one that is edited for TV. Is when you watch these, and I'm going to use Mike Matusow as an example. Mike Matusow, when you can edit him down into a show that's 1 hour, he's really funny and really good. When you have to watch Mike Matusow for 7 fucking hours and never shut his mouth ever, it's like... Like imagine Randall Emmett and Mike Matusow. Okay?
Oh my God! Come on, don't compare me to Randall Emmett. Anybody but him. Oh my God!
You can edit these 2 guys. You're gonna have some gold moments in a show. But if you have to watch a 7-hour live stream of these 2 guys, there's no sense in it. Just you can't do it. So
edited poker is definitely the way to go. Me and Maury talked about that, and the show comes out much better. So as far as great moments we had together. Beating Daniel with pocket kings full against his 9-10 was probably the most fun one. But also after that one was when I had ace queen of clubs and he had 10s and I put it in and he's like, I don't think you got it, and we run it twice, and then the first one with 1 pull to go, he goes, man, it sure is good to win the first one, and then boom, it came a club. I go, yeah, it sure is. And the second one came an ace. I ended up scooping that, but that was one of our favorite memories. But one of my favorites.
Yeah, it was a real favorite of mine.
He has no favorites to beat me in a hand of high stakes poker because he didn't beat me in a hand of high stakes poker. All right, we got another call. What's going on? Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike and Daniel.
Hey, can you hear me right?
Yeah, we hear you fine.
So I just had kind of a 2-part question, but so my thoughts were, do you have any tips for someone that's going to the World Series of Poker for the first time next year, for 2021? And I guess my other question is, is it going to even happen, you think? Or
Daniel, you can answer that question.
Well, so I think that we're hoping, right? I think it'll depend on a vaccine and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not a scientist or a doctor, so I don't know exactly when that'll happen. But I don't think you'll see the World Series of Poker in its natural state unless we address this COVID thing. It's just too many people. You're talking about, sometimes 10,000 people in a convention.
Yeah, 1 second.
And poker is a game that...
Daniel about...
Hang on 1 second, buddy. Hang on 1 second, sir. Hang on 1 second. Go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah. As I was saying... look, my puppy's trying to get up in the screen.
I can't believe my cat hasn't come up yet. Oh, he's sleeping behind me. That's why.
I don't think you'll see, kind of what you see with poker now is the plexiglass, everyone wearing masks. It's probably just not worth it unless things settle. So I'm hopeful that, there will be one in the scheduled time next summer, as long as everything goes well with this pandemic and we're past it. And Mike said that November 4th, COVID ends. So
no, I said it ends on television. It doesn't end. You won't see CNN. COVID. You won't even hear about it barely. That's all I was. That's what I meant.
Oh my God, Daniel. fucking.
All right, so we got another caller. This one sounds like it could be funny. Welcome to Mouthpiece. This is Mike and Daniel. What's up? Hello.
Hey, Daniel. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Hey, man, I'm not saying that you're like a malicious person, even though you're accusing a lot of people of maliciousness. But you just said today that, yesterday was the greatest deaths in COVID. That was months ago. Infections and deaths or something else. And I'm a person who was trained in the military, did it for 6 years, working in a lab. And let me explain to you, none of these lab tests are, FDA approved. They're temporarily approved. And the equipment we use in the lab, let me tell you, like right now, you're talking into a microphone. You turn up the gain, it picks up all the pops and sounds in your room. Now, most of these labs have turned up the gain on the machines, so you're getting all these positives. And positives don't mean death. So please, you're a low information guy on this subject. You're talking about Trump being, I'm an expert on this. You're not an expert on this. I'm more of an expert than you, and I'm not an expert. So can it with that, play poker, and get back to being nice, and apologize to the man and play Rochambeau, all right?
You got it,
did
man.
some dirty stuff to the guy on ESPN, and apologize to him, all right?
All right, my man. Take care.
Who are we apologizing to?
I have no idea. The dirty man on ESPN, man. I have no idea. That was funny, though.
That was a very confusing call, but yep, good luck to you and your family.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely wish you the best. That's the thing, no matter what side of the political aisle you're on, man, and this is one thing that I think me and Daniel have much matured on is listen, we wish everybody the best. We are all Americans. No matter what your politics are, we're all Americans. The division of politics in this country is disgraceful. A lot of people say it's Trump's fault, but it's been like this way before Trump. But it's gotten really bad. Like my girlfriend said, I was never political. She said it was really ugly in 2012. So, but it's gotten really bad. So, welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike and Daniel. What's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
Going good, man. Welcome to the show.
I have a really good story. Okay, back in 2006 when you were selling your book.
Okay, that was 2008.
The break.
Yep.
2008?
Yep.
Okay, you sold it to me. You signed it. My wife was playing in the World Series. I went out to her car, and I read your book in an hour and a half.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool. Now, it gets even worse or better. I was at Jennifer Harmon's charity tournament for animals.
Yep.
And I sat at Daniel's table, and you, Mike, sent a fistful of cash because you couldn't make it. And I can't remember who you sent, but he
I remember
just
that.
pretty much stood over a table and said, Mike Mattisau sent this. He can't be here. And boom, 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 cash was flying for our buy-ins to buy in again.
Yeah, I remember
cool.
that. I remember that. Yeah, I bought. I think I was there. I think you got the story wrong, and I just said I took like $2,000 and I gave rebuys to like 20 different people that was in the room that day. Yeah, I do.
I was a recipient of your cash. Thank you. It's so generous.
Yeah, you're welcome. So
my question is, my wife plays on GG Poker, and she plays at about the $200 to $400 level tournaments, and she's doing really good and learning every day. She gets just before the final table, and she's very, very consistent. And if you could tell us what's the best hot tips to get to the final table.
I'll let Daniel answer that because he's been to more than I have. So go ahead, Daniel.
Well, I mean, if she's getting there consistently, then she's doing a lot of things right? Because, the real skill is in getting in those moments. And then as the blinds go up, it's a lot more luck heavy. But if she's continually getting down there, sounds like, as I said, her strategy is really, really probably good for getting there. Now, what could be happening, and I don't know because I've never played with her, is that it might be a point where being a little more aggressive might be worthwhile, right? Because a lot of times it's not worth it to just try to go from 14th to 11th. The pay jumps are meh. You want to build a stack. So taking a few more aggressive lines, shoving it in people's faces a little bit, being a little bit more willing to, be aggressive on your way to the final table so that you get there, not as the short stack, but, with a meaningful stack that allows you to continually get to the top 3 spots where all the money's at. So it sounds like you're doing a lot of good things to get there consistently, as you said. And now I would say I would up the aggression probably and put some pressure on other short stacks and, find ways to build your stack.
Yep. Yeah, I definitely agree on that. So as we're waiting for another call to come in, I'm gonna ask you this question. So what do you think of the COVID response of Sweden compared to the rest of the world and how low their numbers are? Do you think that they did the right thing, or do we not know because we don't know the results of like what the
so there's a couple
effects
things
are?
with Sweden that's interesting, right?
Yeah.
So you look at the death rate in Sweden, and what's the difference between people in Sweden and what's in America, right? America is one of the fattest countries.
Exactly. That's what I tell people. Yeah.
People in Sweden are actually physically healthy for the most part. I mean, they focus more on that sort of thing. But I think the best barometer is not comparing Sweden to America or the countries. Is compare Sweden to Finland and Denmark and the other Scandinavian countries that are very, very similar, the similar population, right? And then look at the numbers between them and their neighboring countries. And they're much higher than they are in the other countries, in both in death rate and infection. Now, having said that, we won't know yet exactly whether they did it right. We'll find out, I guess, right, in time, because what we've noticed too, which is unfortunate, is that you would expect that because Sweden stayed open, that their economy wouldn't have taken as big of a hit as the surrounding countries, but they're very similar. So at this point, both economies, in those that are being more respectful and careful, versus a little more freewheeling and open, the economy hasn't done much better in Sweden in that regard. Again, that may change in the third quarter of the year, or the fourth quarter, and we might see something glaring there. But I do think that somewhere in the middle is probably the right approach, which is for everyone to just be respectful of each other. Like if people are wearing a mask,
I agree with
just
you
like
on that. Yeah.
just socially distance, be respectful, even if you think or if you don't believe that it's any risk to you whatsoever, to show the common courtesy to others who may, right? There's no value in being that guy that's like, no, they'll never mask me, I won't do this, da-da-da. Like, there are some people who are scared. Like, I have a friend who has issues with her kidney, okay? People with kidney trouble that get this have a 30%, like people that have had kidney transplants.
You mean like you're talking about Jennifer?
I didn't say that, but you did. I'm just saying. But people like that, they have a 30% mortality rate. That's fucking scary for those people. So think of your neighbor. Let's all be united. Let's kick this thing's ass. Let's not make it a partisan thing. Let's not fight over whether or not you should be mandatory to wear masks. Let's just all do it. Take one for the team. Be respectful. Be mindful, so that we can all get back to normal a lot sooner.
I agree. Okay, we got somebody on the line. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike and Daniel. What's going on? Hello.
Hey, this is Jeff in Massachusetts.
Hey, what's going on, Jeff? How are you?
Good. Hey, I just want to thank you guys for being great ambassadors for poker. And I've been a fan for 20 years now, and just started hitting Foxwoods out of nowheres, and sat down at a 1-2 table just because I watched you guys. And just thank you for being out there and talking about poker, because it's helped a lot of us just become fans and learn to play.
That's awesome, man. Thanks, man.
Yeah. That's all.
Okay.
And on the political side, we all agree on 80%. It's just the 80% of the stuff we all agree on.
No, I agree. We do all agree on 80%.
A lot more done.
I agree. I was talking to my friend Ashley last night. She's on the far left, and we literally talked about all kinds of different subjects like we do every night. And it's true. We believe, actually, most of us agree 80% of the stuff, and we're not near as divided as the media makes it out to be. But I'll agree with you on that. So I appreciate the call, and thank you so much.
No. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I do believe we're not near as divided as they're making it out to be, and I just think that we got to go back to debating issues instead of making it where it's life and death if you take the other side. You can't. That's just very unhealthy for the country. Do you agree, Daniel?
So I think that while it's true that, like you said, the majority of things you'll agree on, I think we're more divided than we've ever been, because there was a time when, for example, John McCain versus Barack Obama, where, they were respectful of each other.
Yeah.
The country, we could debate and discuss things in a more rational way. And I think now people have been pushed into their camps. And there's a movie called The Social Dilemma, I think it's called, that's on, really kind of shows that if you are in your bubble or your feed, you're going to continue to get stuff to reinforce your opinion and push you further away. So social media, as much as it gives us this opportunity to connect, it also destroys. Facebook, the like, Twitter, all of it. Right. So really, when it comes to like where we are, we're at a place now where I don't think this has ever really it's been as bad. We're on the brink.
Really, I agree. I'm scared. We're on the brink. I agree.
November, I believe this to be true, and I saw this article about what things looked like before the Civil War in terms of political unrest.
Right.
And I believe we're going to have more political violence and more problems in the street post this election, regardless of who wins.
I agree.
Because I've heard on both sides, right? So obviously, if Trump wins, there'll be protests, there'll be all kinds of stuff. If Biden is to win, there's plenty of Trump supporters who have said flat out the only way Biden can win is if it's cheating. And if that happens, we will go to the streets to try to rectify it.
Oh, I've heard.
So we have it on both sides. So no matter what happens, there will be an angry crew, and it will bring out the other crew. And I think that we're at a very contentious place. I think with the COVID thing and a lot of mental, that creates mental health issues for a lot of people.
100%.
That people are on their last wits, and we're at a venomous place. It's an angry place.
I agree.
I don't think. Here's the thing. I don't believe that 4 more years of a president who wants to divide us, and the first president we've had in a long time that doesn't want to unite, really wants to divide. I don't think 4 more years of that is going to put us in a better place coming 4 years from now. I do believe that a guy like Joe is going to reach out to both sides in such a way and not always point fingers in the same way that Trump does. Trump, this is a game for him. Like if you watch The Apprentice when he had the show, and I did occasionally, this is what he did. Like, it's like, all right, you attack. You blame the other side. You blame. And this is an extension of what he did on that show. And I think it's just bad for the country where we can't, like you said, look at policy, look at issues. It's like that's become so secondary. We're in the mud. We're in the dirt about a laptop from Hunter Biden or, Trump and his Jeffrey Epstein and all. It's like all this gossipy, stupid shit about him banging Stormy Daniels and whatever. Yeah. Like all this stupid shit that all networks. I don't watch network news, by the way. So a lot of people are like, oh, you're listening to CNN. I do not watch CNN. It's on my TV occasionally. The one show I watch every night is I watch BBC World News. So I know what's going on in Uganda and in France and in Denmark and in Sweden and in Australia and in New Zealand, not just what's happening here in America. Because whether it's CNN, MSNBC, or Fox News, understand one thing. They are profit-driven.
Absolutely.
They are driven to do this, to create as much reality TV drama as possible, to push it and promote it and pull us all apart. So when Doyle says, like I always tell, just turn it all off. Like turn it all off and start reading, reading verified information. And honestly, I think everyone's going to say, "Oh, BBC's left." It isn't. Watch BBC. They don't even focus on America that much.
So we got another call that's on right now, and I'm going to ask you. I'm going to get back to that in a second about reading. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike and Daniel. What's going on?
Yo, what's up, Mikey?
What's up, buddy? How are you?
Good, man. It's Frank. I'm in Vegas, man. We got a ticket tonight.
Oh, hey, Frank. How are you?
Pretty good, man. What you guys up to? What's happening?
Oh, we're just shooting the shit, talking about Daniel's upcoming match with Doug, talking a little politics.
Is it tomorrow or the next day?
I think it's the day after the election. I think they start Wednesday. Am I correct, Daniel?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're starting on Wednesday.
Have y'all agreed on how many hands y'all are playing? Is it 25K, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, 25,000 hands. I don't know. What was your question?
Has the betting line moved on it?
I think you can still get 4-1.
How do you feel, Daniel? What do you think a fair line would be, honestly? I mean, I think, honestly, you're an underdog in the situation because I have a heads-up, no-limit background, but in sit-and-go is not much in cash. But I think, like, the 3 betting and 4 betting frequencies and button opens are going to be super important to balance. What's your game plan going in?
Well, to be honest with you, because you play sit-and-goes, it makes sense that you would say that because typically sit-and-goes get to a place where you're doing a lot of shoving all in.
Right.
But in terms of 3 bet and 4 betting frequencies for like a deep stakes cash game, it's basically solved for the most part, and it's not that difficult to employ. It's not like one of us is going to have like this massive advantage because it's very easy to use a randomizer if you need to hit the frequencies. That's not what will be the deciding factor of the match. As far as where I see the right line, it's hard to say. Right, I have a lot of work to do. As I said, I definitely feel like a significant underdog, and I've had some moments of confidence followed by moments of stress over this isn't going to go well. So ultimately, I'm going to put in my best effort. And I'm not sure. I have to think 4-1 is a good bet, right? Based on the work that I'm putting in. But again, ultimately, it's going to come down to whether I can execute or not.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right, that makes sense. I got one last question for you. I'll let you guys go.
Okay.
How do you feel? What do you think your game plan would be going in, and what do you think his is going to be, and how would you plan on counter reacting to that?
Well, I'm sure he's not going to tell you his game plan going in, and I'm probably.
I got you. Yeah. What do you think Doug's going to be coming and doing?
Okay, so my game plan will be to only play the nuts, never bluff.
There you go.
That makes sense.
Bet over every hand, go all in. No, in all seriousness, I think what will happen is, we're both just going to play the way that we play, most likely, right? Whatever game plan that we have, and then likely sort of take a look to see what's working, what's not, make adjustments if necessary on the fly. And I think it'll be kind of like, when you think of a boxing match in the early stages where both guys kind of dance and throw little jabs and just kind of see what's there. You try this, you try that.
That makes sense, yeah. Evaluate after.
Yeah. So
you all are playing 100, 200, or 200, 400?
2 tables of 200, 400.
Do you have a projected amount that you would expect to win or lose at 25K hand playing those stakes?
No,
I don't. No, obviously, it could go a lot of different ways, but I don't. I haven't given that.
Can I ask? I'll ask. We're gonna hang up with you. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. I'm gonna. I'll ask you this question, Daniel. Did you say, okay, so let's say you both buy in 100 big blinds and then you win, you have 200 big blinds or vice versa, and they can only buy in 100 at a time? Is that what it is?
Well, basically, we're playing 100 big blinds deep with auto top up. So
okay,
you start with, say, with 40,000, you put in a $400 big blind and you fold. Okay, well, you're going to add $400.
Auto top up.
Automatic.
Got it. Okay,
yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So the stacks, the longer the sessions go, the deeper the stacks would be.
Correct.
Right. So.
Yeah.
If I beat him in an all-in pot, now I have 200 big blinds. He has 100. Then if he beats me for 1, he's got 200, and I'll have 200. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you guys will probably be a couple thousand big blinds deep halfway through, right?
I don't know about that because we're going to reset them after each session. It's not like
that's big. That changes a dynamic that I think favors you a little bit too, right?
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah,
bro. I got to actually get to work and I got to study.
Yeah. So, anybody else? We're going to take one more phone call. Anybody wants to call in right now? No, we're not going to call anybody missed. If they want to call in now, call in now. We're going to take one more phone call. Daniel's got to go to work, and we need him to win because I'm all in on him winning this match. So that's my monthly pay my rent for the month. If he wins, if he loses, it'll just be an extra month before I pay him back 10 more thousand.
Mike's too dumb to be a scammer.
It's true. I am too dumb to be a scammer. All right, let's get this call. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. You're on the line with me and Daniel. What's up? Turn your thing down.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was a recording again, Mike.
No. We're live, man. What's going on?
Oh, good to hear from you, buddy. I heard a story a long time. Daniel told a story about when he got beat by the bogey golfer that shot 75 or whatever.
That was Mike Sexton.
Yes, I heard a story on Daniel. It might be a myth. I don't know. It was a story about he had some friends over to the house, and he beat them up. They brought a friend, and he beat them playing pool for some pretty good numbers a few times, and then it was all a lay-down hustle, and then they were putting down a lemon, and then he got took off for a big number, and then kind of refused to pay, and I think just kicked him out of the house. I just wondered if that story was a myth or not. I can't even remember who I heard it from. It's been so long.
I did hear something about that. What is that story, Daniel? Is that any truth to that?
What is the stories that I played a guy pool?
Yeah, at your house that you hustled out of money.
This is completely not real.
Okay.
This is
there you go.
Legitimate definition of fake news.
There you go. There you go.
You are fake news.
Oh, there you go. Trump just even said you were fake news. There you go.
Yeah.
What was it a myth?
Yes. It never happened.
Okay. I just always wondered. I mean, I anybody can be hustled. I didn't know. I just always wondered about this story.
Yeah.
And he told the golf story, and it made it remind me. But anyway, Mike, you're a great interviewer, buddy.
All right, man. I appreciate
really
the call.
Good to talk to you.
And thanks for calling in the show.
I've been within arm's reach of you. I've been around you a lot, but not lately.
You got it, my man. Well,
But
thank you
never
so
talked to
much.
Okay, great interview. Great
God
job.
bless.
Glad
God
to
bless,
see
my
you on,
man.
buddy. Thanks.
You got it.
Uh,
All right, man. Well, I think we're going to finish up. I wish you the best, Daniel. I hope you win this match. I consider you one of my close friends. We've had a lot of fucking differences, but I know I'm fucking a good guy, and I try my best. And people, a lot of people like to come on my show and they'll rip on you and say bad things, and I always say, you don't understand. Daniel will do anything for anybody. I said, and just because you disagree with him politically doesn't mean that he's a bad guy. So, I say that with all sincerity. And I just want this.
Appreciate that. That's been my go-to with Twitter lately. Is like, someone says I hate you, blah blah blah, and I'm like, well, I wish you all the best in your family.
Exactly.
Like, it's unfortunate that we're at that place where if we disagree politically, we have to hate. But
no, it's terrible. It is terrible, and it's it's like I have respect for somebody. If they say they like somebody for somebody, I'll say okay, I disagree. And I'll try and make my points why I disagree. And it's very healthy. That's why even if you watch like cable news, which he says is, like I agree with Daniel, it's really bad to do. They used to always bring people on from each side of the aisle and they'd have an honest debate. Chris Cuomo does that a lot, and so does Tucker Carlson a lot. But I'm just trying to say is we've gotten away from the fact that you can't debate. It's like, it's your way or the highway or the world's going to end. And guess what?
What happens is you end up in pure whataboutism, right? So, for example, we could say, all right, this person did something bad, okay? Do you agree? And they're like, well, what about that person who did something bad? I'm like, can we focus on this one first? Can you at least acknowledge that, yes, what this person did was bad? Okay, agreed. Also, this person did that. But what happens now is there's always deflection. And so there's no real genuine, honest conversation about it. So like, for example, right? Like we can just talk about, let's say, for example, infidelity. Trump was having sex with a porn star without a condom, paid her off, cheated on his wife, all that kind of stuff, right? So can we just say that that's not right, not nice, right? Yes, Bill Clinton did the same thing. I agree. What he did with Monica Lewinsky and getting a blowjob or whatever, he cheated on his wife. That's not okay. Can't we just get to that place? But what ends up happening is I might say, Trump was out of line with what he did with Stormy Daniels. What about Bill? What about Bill? What about?
Yeah.
What about it? I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about your guy right now.
No,
do you agree? Can't we just get to that point?
I agree, and unfortunately, if we don't get there, we are going to end. I'm on. People ask me about the election, and even though I am not a Trump, you guys think I'm the biggest Trump supporter. I'm not. Okay, I support his policies, and me and Daniel, we're able to differentiate. We could talk politics and policy or whatever. But there's a lot of things I don't like about Trump. But the truth of the matter is I'm very, very, very worried for this country come November 4th, whoever wins, and that scares me more than who's going to win the election. And Daniel touched on that earlier today, and I think we could end this podcast by saying to everybody, let's just pray for the country. If Trump's elected, nobody's gonna die. If Biden's elected, no matter what the other side's telling you, the country's not going to be changed forever. We're all going to be fine. So, both sides pushing that it's the end of the world if either side wins. It's just not. So let's all try and get along, and I think that's the best way to put it. What do you think, Daniel?
Appreciate that. That's a good one. Time for me to get a snack in. My team's waiting for me, ready to get some work in.
You got it, my man. Daniel, thanks for coming on the podcast. I wish you the best of luck. I love you, and make me some money, man.
I'll do my
absolute best.
I know you will, buddy. That's why I'm betting on you. Thanks a lot, my man. Take care. Thanks, buddy. All right, man. That was my man Daniel, Real Kid Poker, Negreanu. I know a lot of people listen to my show, big Trump supporters, and they're going to disagree with Daniel on a lot of issues, but that's fine, man. You know, we're here, and you can just see how much both of us have grown up in 4 years. And I'm 52, he's 43. He was 39 or 44 now. He was 40. I was 48. And 4 years ago, we were we went from best friends to enemies over politics, and it just shouldn't happen in any fucking world, especially in the United States of America. And the fact that we're able to talk and get along with there is pretty good. Now, I am going to take Daniel up on that bet once his match with Doug is over, where we both listen to Fox News for a week and we both listen to CNN for a week.
You listen to CNN and he listens to Fox.
Right, and we both listen and we go over certain issues, and I guarantee you this is going to be great, because I guarantee you 8 out of 10 things I'll be able to prove that CNN says is a fucking lie, and that I don't believe he'll get more than 2 out of 10. Now, I will be able to disseminate propaganda on both sides and realism. I could watch lots of CNN and MSNBC or Fox, and I can tell you every time Fox is talking propaganda and every time the other side's talking propaganda. So as poker players, I think it's really important to be able to see that. And I think Phil Hellmuth is calling me. He must have lost a big pot. Let's call him and put him on the line here. See what he has to say. Hold on a second. Let's put him on the microphone here real quick. I will. This should be funny, guys. Uh-oh, no answer. He must have just needed to spout and go crazy. He must have lost a hand or something. They're filming high stakes poker right now. Okay, let's see what he wrote back to me here. I need to continue to play super, super tight. It's not hard. It's obvious. Okay, I agree. Agree. How are you doing? See if he's winning or losing. It's I don't know. Whenever he starts calling in between matches, I worry. But yeah. So it's just like I said. One thing you could say, that whether you agree with Daniel's politics or not. I mean, I love Trump for his honesty in some situations, but his bullshitting and his divisiveness with his Twitter, attacking people on Twitter, I just think it's just so unhealthy for our country. But when it comes down to policy, we have a big policy differential. Me and Daniel, and me are Democrats, and I believe that the Republicans, even though they're fucking dirtbags too. I just think they're all dirtbags. I think both sides are fucking dirtbags, and I think that if this country had term limits on everybody, why we don't have and the reason why we don't have term limits, because they'll never pass laws for term limits. That would mean they're out of a job, and they want to consistently fucking put in lots of millions of dollars in their pockets and just fuck the American people. And I think it's a disgrace. It is what it is. I think Trump's going to get a big turnout. This will be my last podcast before Tuesday. I believe that it's going to be razor close. It's not like Trump wants to go to the courts. It's not like he wants to. It's funny that this is where I'll disagree with Daniel on. He talks about mail-in ballots and we're trying to stop voters from being in. No, you've had fucking a year and a half to get your fucking ballots in. Okay, you get your ballots in before Election Day. Okay, the Democrats passing laws to let all these ballots coming after Election Day. Well, why are they doing that? The same reason why they don't want voter ID. Because if they have, if you want free and fair elections, you put universal voter ID out, and you can only get that if you're an American citizen. Why won't the Democrats pass that? They say it's racist. No, it ain't racist. You need an ID to go everywhere. Okay, so. Do I agree with Daniel that the Democrats gerrymander about votes? Absolutely. But you got to look at again. You can't be a partisan. You got to look at the other side. The fucking Democrats fucking steal elections by fucking with illegals, and they'll say, well, there's no proof. There is proof of that. Okay, they just don't. They won't show it on mainstream media. Okay, you think that everybody in California with what they're doing to that state with lockdowns and all these strict restrictions are all voting? I mean, there's parades with thousands of people in California for Trump. Okay, it's not 90%. The reason why they win everything in California is because they got illegals that are stealing elections. So, again, I agree with Daniel with the gerrymandering with votes. It happens. And if you're a Republican and disagree with it, you're fucking just lying. But the other side does the same thing with illegals and gets all kinds of thousands and thousands of illegals to vote. So, to me, it equals itself out. But I do believe there should not. I believe there should be universal voter ID. It shouldn't be state by state law. I think everybody should be. It costs the government 20 cents, literally 20 cents, to send anybody who requests a voter ID. They will give them a voter. They could go to the DMV, take the picture, and your voter ID will be sent to your house. And you show up at the polls. I went to the polls today. I got my sticker. I voted. Where is my I voted sticker? Oh, it's on my go get it. It's on top of my countertop there. I had to wait 3 minutes in line. Okay, no, on top of my armoire. It's on top of my armoire in my room. I had to wait literally 3 minutes in line and walked right in. Everything was social distance. Everything was safe as can be. There was no chance that I could get COVID going to where I went in to vote. And when the Democrats started pushing mail-in voting, mail-in voting. First of all, they like to say, and this is again where I feel Daniel's very uninformed, and I didn't want to get into it because we're good friends. I didn't want to get in a political fight. Is that yes, in Nevada, you get a ballot in the mail. Okay, when you do is you ask for an absentee ballot in almost every place in the country. They send you an absentee ballot. You have to verify it's you by signature. Okay, but what did Nevada do this year? They sent a mass mail-in ballot out to anybody on the voter rolls. Okay. Do you know how many people don't even live here on the voter rolls? There's going to be people getting double ballots to their new houses because I'm registered in a different address. Lots of people are doing that, okay? Then they have to go in. Then they can sit there and they can vote with their ballot, and then they could go in and vote twice at a booth as long as you don't say it. They ask you. Now, in Nevada, when I walked in without my ballot, I had to sign. I did have to sign to say that I lost my ballot and I'm not voting twice. I had to show my ID. That was very secure. But how many people are going to send their ballot in and then go in and say, oh, I don't have my ballot, and just sign the thing? I mean, you really think they're going to does anybody really think they're going to be prosecuting those people? That's all I'm saying. And this is the point where Trump was trying to say is absentee ballots, good. They're great. Mail-in ballots, that's just unconstitutional. I mean, you're literally supposed to when you want to vote, that's why it's called get out the vote. That's why the campaigners go out there to get people out to the polls to vote, right? But when you're sending them a ballot to their house, and this is why why me and Phil Hellmuth were talking the other day, and he don't think Trump's going to win, is he says it's just so easy to vote. He goes, you get on social media, and this is again where I want people to vote, but social media.
I don't want to deal with any bullshit on social media.
That's funny, he said you click on Facebook, you go by the fourth time, there's a thing that says vote, and finally you clicked on it, and it tells you exactly how to send a ballot to your house. So all the lazy people that don't want to go out and vote are just going to fill out those ballots and put in for the absentee ballot and vote. And it's good for democracy, but it's also why Trump's not going to win because nobody. I mean, I hope he does. I mean, even though I have a lot of things against Trump, and I'm really not a Trump supporter. I mean, I as a person, but I believe his policies are better for the country, and I believe that in that way. And I have to ask myself when I go to the polls, can I deal with a lot of his things that he says? I know a lot of Trump supporters think it's funny, and it is. It is. A lot of it is funny, but sometimes he takes it too far. I mean, and nobody in America should be attacked on Twitter because they disagree with the president. Nobody. And that's where I agree with the liberals, and I agree with Daniel. But with that said, the policy, it's all about policy to me, and I don't believe the Democrats have the right policies. So, but that, again, we can debate them, and that's what a healthy democracy does. But I was very secure. I had to sign like 3 things when I went and voted, and it took me about 5 minutes to vote today, and I did. So here it is, you guys. My I voted sticker. Woo! It's only the second time in my life I voted. I didn't want to. I actually wasn't going to vote. I got a phone call threatening me that if I didn't vote, they were going to kill me. So I voted. I won't tell you who that came from. So anyways, we touched on a lot of things today. It was really good to have Daniel on. I believe he's prepared for the match, and I do believe he's a dog, but I do not believe he's a 4-1 dog. I mean, I don't believe Doug's going to beat him 4 out of 4 times, So Daniel only has to win 1 out of 4 times to break even. Well, I'm going to take my chances that he does. And I think it's, like I said, anytime you're betting on somebody, it's $1.50 dog and getting 4-1, when you're going to take that all day long, right? It's just basic math, basic math. There's just, first of all, I don't believe even if Daniel didn't work hard on his game, that he'd be a 4-1 dog. I believe maybe 2-1. As much as he's worked on the game, I think 4-1 is, pretty bright. So, a lot of things going on in politics, a lot of crazy things. You want to take a couple more calls from anybody, or what do you want to do? You want to call it a day?
We're at over 2 hours.
Oh, we are at 2 hours already. God, time flies when you're having fun. All right, everybody, listen, man. My pick of the week this week is, who did I pick? San Francisco, plus 3.5. San Francisco plus 3.5. We're at 3-4 on the year. I really want to win this week to get to 4-4. I know Seattle, they're coming off a loss. They were on a bye last week. You see how terrible their defense is. They're ranked like second worst in the country. I don't see them beating San Francisco, but I might be wrong. Give me 3.5 of Frisco, pick of the week. I'm in this contest I do every week. I'm like 4th to last and the worst, but that's what I do. That's why I don't bet anymore. But I do throw a bet in once in a while for 500 or 1,000. But people don't understand when I say I don't bet anymore. Like the minimum bet I ever made my whole life was 5,000. So I would bet 5 to 50,000. Okay, I don't bet more than $1,000. That's it. So, and I don't bet very often. I've made, let's see, about 5 bets this year. But I'm cured from sports betting. Don't worry. The chances of me ever betting sports again is 0, like 0, because I know how hard it is to win a bet. I work with the best. So, they don't need a running back, buddy. I mean, somebody said 49ers have no running back. I mean, you plug and play with that offensive line, they'll be fine. So, yeah, I mean, listen, just remember, a lot of people like, oh, Biden's going to slow down fossil fuel. He had to go way left on the election to get the crazy Bernie people, and Trump's pushing that. And he did say he's going to, but I don't believe he will. These politicians will do anything to get elected. But I tell people it's real important. Like, if like I quit taking sleeping pills like a year ago. So I smoke a little pot when I go to sleep. Usually take 1 hit, sometimes 2. And then I watch a Trump rally or a Biden rally, and or Biden's speech. And I don't go by what people think are the polls, okay? But if you listen closely, and I want you to understand this, because there's like 40 million people who are going to vote that don't have a clue what's going on in the world, that's just going to pick a candidate, okay? And you ask yourself, well, what message sounds better? And if you listen to a Trump rally and you listen to the Biden messaging, even though I know he's completely full of shit, okay? They're both full of shit. If you listen to the Biden messaging, it is more uplifting than the Trump messaging. Now, with that said, I don't believe anything that out of fucking Biden's mouth is fucking true. He'll do anything to get reelected or to get elected. But you have to ask yourself, tell yourself, what messaging sounds better? In 2016, Trump's messaging just sounded better. You know, I'm with her, okay? What the fuck is I'm with her, right? That just sounds like she's a woman. You're voting for her, right? Trump ran on build the wall. Mexico will pay for it, whether they did or not, but he built the wall. He ran on immigration. He ran on going after China with tariffs for ripping off America. He ran on repeal and replace Obamacare, which McCain shot down at 2 a.m. because he hated Trump. So he ran on things, and everything he ran on except for like one thing he got accomplished. But if you listen to what they're running on right now, the messaging coming out of the Biden camp, which I believe every part of my bone is just complete bullshit to try and convince the American people, look me, I'll get rid of COVID. No, you won't. You ain't going to do shit, okay? Operation Warp Speed is going to have the vaccine out in the middle of December, the therapeutics are all are helping reduce the death toll in the country. If Biden takes over, all he's going to be taking over what Trump's already done. He ain't doing anything different. So they're running on COVID. And I don't know. People see Trump is a political genius, so it's going to be funny. I don't think his message is correct. I think my message is more on the side with Daniel is wear your mask. It's important for the country. Help slow the spread. Trump's message is we're all American. We know what the virus does after all this time. We know what's good. We know what's bad. We're in control of our own lives. Let us have. We live in a free country. We want our freedom back. And I like that message, okay? But you can have that message of we live in a free country and want our freedom back by also telling people it's, wear masks, social distance, and it's better off. Now, he did that yesterday or today. I listened to it, today's Trump rally. He was all about wear your mask, social distance. And I've listened to a lot of his Trump rallies, like all of them. And this is the first time he really went hard on that because it's spreading. And again, these are the things where I do agree with Daniel on. So, listen, we could agree to disagree in the world. We'll be back next week. We're going to have a new president of the United States, or we're going to have Trump's second term in which I held my nose and voted for him. And hopefully that'll happen. My instincts is Biden will be president. My instincts are wrong a lot. I hope I'm wrong this time again, but I don't want to bet on it. So we'll see you all next Thursday or Friday for episode 56 of the Mouthpiece podcast. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you all enjoyed it. God bless you. Thank you, Daniel Negreanu, for coming on. We wish him the best of luck. Take care.